here.
All right, ma'am. So, namaste to everyone. And so, His Excellency, the Governor of Sikkim, Shri Ganga Prasad, Honorable Foreign Secretary of India, Shri VardhanShringla, Dr. Hari Eppanapally, Chairman, the CICI Group, New Jersey, USA, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the ICFI University, Sikkim, Dr. Jagannath Patnaik, a very warm welcome to the ICFI University, Sikkim's webinar on Self-Reliant India, Entrepreneurship and Employment Opportunities. Before we move forward with the program, I would like to request Mrs. Sandhya Rani Pant to kindly propose the welcome address. Thank you.
Namaste to everyone. My warm greetings to all. I am Sandhya Rani Pant, Deputy Registrar at Center for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, ICFI University, Sikkim. And it is my privilege and pleasure on behalf of the ICFI University, Sikkim to welcome you here today to do a webinar on Self-Reliant India, Entrepreneurship and Employment Opportunities conducted jointly by the ICFI University, Sikkim, Indo-Global Business Park, IGBP, and Lead India Foundation, USA. The webinar is supported by Global South Economic Forum, Africa-Asia Scholar Global Network, and Forum of Africa, Arab, Asia Pacific University President. It is my immense pleasure to take the opportunity to welcome our chief guest, Honorable Governor of Sikkim, Shri Ganga Prasad, who has graciously accepted our kind proposal to be the chief guest today. An immense thanks to you, sir, for your generosity and kind gesture towards our university. Allow me also to welcome Honorable Foreign Secretary of India, Shri VardhanShringla, here today. Your gracious presence is going to leave an indelible mark in the history of the ICFI University, Sikkim. Thank you, sir. I am also very honored and excited to welcome our keynote speakers of today's event. Great professors and leaders like Dr. Hari Eppanapally, who is the chairman of CIC Group, New Jersey, Dr.ShahidYamin, executive chairman and co-founder of Global Opportunities Commercialization, Honorable Abdul Dewale Mohammed, founder and executive president of Global South Economic Forum, Mr. Eduardo Huerta Mercado, who is an international consultant of the World Bank, South America, Mr. Ridwaan, managing director of Good Hope Construction, Cape Town, Mr. Mahesh Kumar Punia, managing director of Live Bean and Ero Foods, Kenya, Ms. Merali Tokalima, managing director of MT Energy Resource Limited, Australia, Mr. Brian Patrick Luning, chairman of Riffenberg Bond Hatstein Limited, Netherlands, Mr. Bivav Kant Upadhyay, chairman NGO India Center, Tokyo, Japan. I am deeply indebted to all speakers for accepting our warm invitation on this webinar. And my warm welcome also goes to our media partners, 10 News, Radio Art, Sikkim IPR, Sikkim Chronicles, 9 TV, Voice Today, Vision Digital India, Shakshi TV, Mana TV, TV5, BCA News, GK TV, Top Telugu TV, TV Asia, World BB TV, and V5 News. We are really privileged to have all of you under one roof today. Ladies and gentlemen, ICFI University Sikkim is an important integral of ICFI Group. ICFI Group, over the last 3 decades, has established 20 campuses all over 16 states of India. Our founder, late Shri N.J. Yashashvi, had a vision of taking quality education at affordable prices to the doorstep of students in the Northeast India. He took a conscious decision of not concentrating only in the big metros, but also to disperse out in the region of the country that has huge challenges in terms of roads and accessibilities. The ICFI Group is proud to be a not-for-profit group in the true sense of the term. The fee we charge from our students in our university are very affordable. Our university is governed by the Board of Management and the Board of Governors, with members included from Government of Sikkim and from the sponsor society. The first batch of students graduated in the year 2008. Since then, more than 7,000 students have completed their requirements of programs of studies and graduated. Our university offers various fee concessions to local Sikkimese students, students from neighboring states, and also to students from Northeast states. We offer programs in areas like management, hospitality, hospitality, tourism, information technology, and legal studies. Our university have also established the Pranab Mukherjee Chair for Sustainable Development, Research and Education at university campus, with goals and objective of promoting sustainable development and research programs to strengthen the society welfare of the region. Shri Pranab Mukherjee, former President of India and Bharat Ratna awardee, passed away on 31st August, which is just 10 days ago, after battling a long illness. With deep and profound sorrow on the sudden demise of Honorable Sir, we take our pledge that we shall always promote and enhance youth empowerment and employment programs and take Pranab Mukherjee Chair forward till the goal is conquered. The objective of the Pranab Mukherjee Chair was to promote livelihood, harmony, employment, and happiness in the northeast region of India, and we shall all take every mission forward with full dedication. Like Pranab Mukherjee Chair, we have always explored collaboration with other institutions with a view to have a synergetic relationship for mutual benefits. And I am proud to inform that we have already achieved some amount of success. From last few years, ICFI has established and seeded a substantive network of partnership with leading universities around the world and stakeholders in the public, private, donor, and non-profit sectors of education in India and across the globe. And with this, I would like to end my opening statement here, and I wish all the best to all our speakers. And once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, moving forward with the program, I would like to say a few words about our very own Honorable Vice Chancellor, the ICFI University Sikkim, Dr. Jagannath Patnaik. Sir has come with over 25 years of experience in educational administration in the areas of development and planning. Prior to his joining ICFI University Sikkim, he was with Kalinga University as Vice Chancellor of the two tenures from October 2011 to December 2017. He began his career as Director of International Relations, Planning and Development for the Vinayaka Missions Research Foundation in Salem, Tamil Nadu, and for Bharati Vidyapeeth Deemed University in India. Academic Registrar of International Medical and Technological University in Tanzania, Director of Projects Development for the Manipal University in India, Director of Distance Education and Registrar for Sikkim Manipal University for Medical and Technical Sciences, Vice President of Educational Development for Manipal Education and Medical Group, Chancellor of Kalinga University, Executive Director of Education for Manipal Academy of Health and Education, Pro-Chancellor of Singhania University and Secretary General of the Confederation of Indian Universities. He has also served in various social non-governmental and intergovernmental organizations as International Director General of the All India Human Rights Council of Liberties and Social Justice, National Vice President of the UN-registered World Human Rights Council in New Delhi, Secretary General of the International Organization for Educational Development, Secretary General for the UN-registered World Humanity Commission, Principal Advisor of the UN-registered International Police Commission, and Instruction Judge and Chief of Asia-Pacific Consular Affairs of the Sovereign Court of International Justice. Now, I would like to request Sir to kindly put forward his address to the audience. Thank you. VC, sir.
Shri, can you check your message? Somebody's speaker is waiting but cannot get in. Thank you.
Okay, sir. VC, sir, are you there? Dr. Jagannath?
No, ma'am, he is not there.
Okay, sir. Then we move forward with the program. Maybe sir is facing some difficulties, technical difficulties. So moving forward with our inaugural session, I would like to say a few words about our inaugural speaker, His Excellency, the Governor of Sikkim, Shri Ganga Prasad. His Excellency, Shri Ganga Prasad, is currently the Governor of the state of Sikkim and the former Governor of Meghalaya. His Excellency was elected to the Legislative Council of Bihar in 1994 and had been a member for 18 years since then. On 30th September 2017, he was appointed by President Ramnath Kovind as the new Governor of Meghalaya. On 26th August 2018, His Excellency was sworn in as the 16th Governor of Sikkim. I would like to request His Excellency to kindly address the gathering. Thank you.
इक्फाई यूनिवर्सिटी के कुलपति डॉक्टर जगन्नाथ पटनायक जी, बोर्ड ऑफ गवर्नर्स के सदस्य, विश्वविद्यालय परिवार के सभी सदस्यगण तथा छात्र छात्राएं सहित सम्मानित अतिथिगण, उत्तर पूर्व भारत के रोजगार एवं कौशल विकास की ओर की अपार संभावनाएं हैं। किसी भी देश और राज्य की समृद्धि और संवर्धन का वह युवा वर्ग होता है। युवा वर्ग ज्ञान से परिपूर्ण हो तथा कौशलता के में निपुण हो, सभी राज्य का उचित दिशा में विकास संभव हो सकेगा। वर्तमान समय में देश का भविष्य युवा वर्ग ही है, इसलिए हमें युवा शक्ति को सशक्त करना है। भारत सरकार की डोनर मिनिस्ट्री के तहत प्रधानमंत्री जी की स्किल इंडिया के सपनों को साकार करते हुए वार्षिक बजट का एक बड़ा हिस्सा वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग एंड स्किल डेवलपमेंट ट्रेनिंग नॉर्थ ईस्ट युवाओं के लिए खर्च किया जाता है। डोनर मिनिस्ट्री के अंतर्गत केन और बांस तकनीकी केंद्र खोलने की प्रक्रिया की जाती है, जिससे बांस के क्षेत्र में ब्रांडिंग, पैकिंग और मार्केटिंग इस क्षेत्र में युवाओं को सिखाया जा सके। भारत के लुक इस पॉलिसी के तहत उत्तर पूर्व राज्य के सभी राज्यपाल एवं मुख्यमंत्रियों के साथ तत्काल विदेश मंत्री स्वर्गीय सुषमा स्वराज जी के द्वारा म्यांमार और आसियान देशों के साथ ट्रेड, व्यवसाय, पर्यटन संबंधी तथा क्षेत्रीय संसाधनों के साथ साथ संस्कृति के आदान प्रदान के लिए एक अच्छी व्यवस्था की परिकल्पना की गई थी, जिससे रोजगार तथा अर्थव्यवस्था सुदृढ़ हो सके। यह कार्यक्रम में उस समय तत्कालीन विदेश मंत्री श्रीमती सुषमा जी ने सभी नॉर्थ ईस्ट के गवर्नर के साथ बैठक की थी, सभी नॉर्थ ईस्ट के मुख्यमंत्रियों के साथ बैठक की थी और ये संभावनाएं व्यक्त की थी कि यदि एशियान कंट्रियों के साथ हर प्रकार का संबंध बनाया जाए, व्यापारिक संबंध बनाया जाए, इससे नॉर्थ ईस्ट का काफी विकास होगा और साथ ही साथ यह भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था में भी काफी कारगर सिद्ध होगा। आत्मनिर्भर भारत के सपनों को पूर्ण करने के लिए प्रधानमंत्री कौशल के तहत तकरीबन 3 लाख से अधिक नॉर्थ ईस्ट के युवाओं को स्किल ट्रेनिंग दी जा चुकी है। नॉर्थ ईस्ट के अंदर प्रगति को अपार संभावनाएं हैं। ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग इन सिक्किम, हल्दी मिशन मेघालय, जैक फ्रूट मिशन मेघालय, मिल्क मिशन मेघालय, बैम्बू मिशन और कई ऐसा नॉर्थ ईस्ट में कई ऐसी संभावनाएं हैं। सिल्क रेशम का आसाम में, ऐसे अनेकों संभावनाएं हैं। नॉर्थ ईस्ट के सभी प्रदेशों का अलग अलग विशेषताएं हैं और वहाँ के लोग काफी निपुण हैं और कई प्रकार की योजनाएं किया जा सकता है, जिससे कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट का विकास होगा ही साथ साथ पूरे भारत का अर्थव्यवस्था में काफी लाभ मिलेगा। उड़ान 2 के तहत नॉर्थ ईस्ट के क्षेत्रों में एयरपोर्ट का विकास कर वायुसेना मार्ग प्रशस्त किया गया है। केंद्र सरकार की कई कल्याणकारी योजनाओं का विशेष लाभ उत्तर पूर्व के क्षेत्र में मिल रहा है। प्रधानमंत्री मुद्रा योजना, स्टेट ऑफ इंडिया लोन फैसिलिटी ऑफ 10 लाख टू 1 करोड़, दीनदयाल ग्रामीण कौशल योजना, इस प्रकार नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विकास की काफी संभावनाएं हैं और यहाँ के लोग भी काफी मेहनती हैं, कर्मशील हैं। तो आज जो जिस विषय पर यह सेमिनार रखा गया है, तो निश्चित रूप से इससे और नॉर्थ ईस्ट में विकास की संभावनाएं बढ़ेगी और वर्तमान सरकार नॉर्थ ईस्ट की ओर काफी ध्यान दे रहा है और उनकी यह सोच है कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट जो काफी अनेकों प्रकार की विकास की संभावनाएं हैं। साथ साथ आज आयुर्वेद के अंदर उसकी आज काफी प्रचलन है, पूरे संसार में इसे लोग अपना रहे हैं। इस प्रकार यह जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट है अनेकों प्रकार की जड़ी बूटियों का एक खजाना है। पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट में प्रकृति की बहुत बड़ी देन है। इसलिए उन सभी बातों को ध्यान में रखते हुए और ऐसे विशेषज्ञों को आज इस ओर ध्यान रखा जाए और उनकी जरूरत है। कई प्रकार वैज्ञानिक हैं और इस प्रकार के विशेषज्ञ लोग हैं, इस पर ध्यान दें। साथ ही साथ यहाँ की कृषि को उन्नत बनाने में हर प्रकार का सहयोग दें। इस अवसर पर जो सेमिनार रखा गया है यह नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लिए बहुत ही उपयोगी है और मैं समझता हूँ इस सेमिनार के कारण यह नॉर्थ ईस्ट का और विकास होगा, नॉर्थ ईस्ट और तरक्की करेगा और इससे जो अनेकों प्रकार की जो विकास की संभावनाएं हैं वो निरंतर उसमें बढ़ोतरी होगा और इस प्रकार यह जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट काफी उन्नति करेगा, काफी तरक्की करेगा, जिसकी संभावनाएं है। अवसर पर मैं अधिक नहीं कहता हुआ पुनः आज इस जो कार्यक्रम रखा गया है, सेमिनार रखा गया है, उसके प्रति शुभकामना व्यक्त करता हूं और आशा करता हूं इस प्रकार का कार्यक्रम बार बार चलाया जाए ताकि नॉर्थ ईस्ट के रहने वाले यहाँ के वासियों के अंदर, खास करके नौजवानों के अंदर, यहाँ के विद्यार्थियों को इससे प्रेरणा मिले और वो आगे बढ़ करके इस ओर आगे बढ़ें और भारत को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने में यह नॉर्थ ईस्ट हर प्रकार से कारगर होगा और इसमें सभी लोग मिल करके आज भारत को आगे बढ़ाने में, नॉर्थ ईस्ट को आगे बढ़ाने में और स्वयं अपने आत्मनिर्भर बने, भारत को आत्मनिर्भर बनाए, इसके लिए काम करना होगा। जो आ रही है मैंने इसके लिए सभी लोग मिलकर काम करें और आज जो प्रधानमंत्री की कल्पना है, जो भारतवासियों की कल्पना है, हम आत्मनिर्भर बने, हम स्वयं अपने भारत के अंदर हर प्रकार के सामान का निर्माण करें और इससे भारत आगे बढ़े, हमें दूसरे देशों पर डिपेंड न रहना पड़े। इसके लिए सभी को मिलकर काम करना है। आ जाए हम सभी मिलकर के संकल्प ले, इस भारत को निर्भर बनाने में, इस नॉर्थ ईस्ट को निर्भर बनाने में हम सब लोग मिलकर के काम करेंगे और मिलजुल करके चलेंगे, चलते हुए भारत को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ पुनः मैं इस कार्यक्रम के प्रति शुभकामनाएं व्यक्त करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय भारत, जय सिक्किम।
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to introduce Honorable Foreign Secretary of India, Shri VardhanShringla. Shri VardhanShringla is a member of the Indian Foreign Service. In the course of a diplomatic career spanning over 36 years, he has held a variety of positions in New Delhi and abroad. He has served Ambassador of India to the United States of America, Kingdom of Thailand, and as High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh. He has also served in France, UNESCO, USA, UN, New York, Vietnam, Hanoi, and Ho Chi Minh City, Israel, and South Africa. Shri VardhanShringla has served in the Ministry of External Affairs, New Delhi, as Joint Secretary, responsible for Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Maldives. He has also headed the United Nations Political and SAARC divisions in the ministry. Earlier, he served as Director of the Northern Division, dealing with Nepal and Bhutan, and as Deputy Secretary of the Europe West Division. Shri VardhanShringla has graduated from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University, and has worked in the corporate and public sectors in India prior to joining the Indian Foreign Service. He has pursued courses and published papers on conflict prevention, economic diplomacy, the Indian diaspora, and India-Bangladesh relations. Honorable Sir assumed charge as the Foreign Secretary of India on 29th January 2020. I would now like to request Honorable Sir to kindly address the audience. Thank you.
Honorable Governor of Sikkim, Shri Ganga Prasad ji, Vice Chancellor of the ICFAI University Sikkim, Dr. Jagannath Patnaik, Associate Dean, Dr. Pramita Gurum, Deputy Registrar, ICFAI University Sikkim, Mrs. Sandhya Rani, our MC, Ms. Shrishti Rai, eminent speakers in the webinar, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar and good morning. It is for me a great privilege to be invited to deliver the keynote address of this webinar on Self-Reliant India, reimagining the Northeast in terms of employment and skill. I would like to congratulate the Institute of Chartered Financial Analysts of India, ICFAI, University Sikkim, for organizing this webinar. As far as I'm concerned, I have a personal interest in joining this discussion. First, my closeness to the state of Sikkim. I belong to Darjeeling, and as I look over from my home, the first hill that I see in my vision is the town of Namche, which is in Sikkim. I also I have been honored by the university with a D.Litt honoris causa, and I certainly feel in that sense a proximity to the university. Thirdly, I have a modest sense of involvement in our foreign policy focus on creating opportunities, linking the northeastern part of India to other countries, including Southeast Asia and beyond, and in that sense, providing opportunities to Northeast through those openings. ICFAI, which began as a modest not-for-profit society, this is mentioned earlier, has gone on to chart an exemplary course in the field of higher education in the last 3 decades. ICFAI, in fact, is one among the pioneers in putting into action the theme of this webinar. 5 out of the 11 institutions established by ICFAI are located in the states of the Northeast. These institutions are contributing greatly to the education and skilling of people in the region. Sikkim, as is well known, is geographically of modest size, but is a home to a very wide variety of immensely beautiful landscapes. Sikkim is also a model state for the rest of India in terms of its rapid development and also its focus on the areas of organic farming, sanitation, and other socio-economic indicators. Our northeastern states are all known for their natural beauty, but the Northeast is also a storehouse of Indian talent, from the traditional handicrafts to the cutting-edge fields of the services sector. The young men and women of the states of the Northeast have made their mark everywhere. What is remarkable is that our young people from the Northeast have a large presence and influence in the services sector of our country. There is a need to increase and diversify employment opportunities available in this region. This requires rethinking and reimagining the development strategies for the Northeast. It is in this context that the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, announced by the Prime Minister, assumes great significance, especially for the states of the Northeast. The mission for building a self-reliant India and the stimulus package of rupees 20 lakh crore launched under the initiative aims to both reinvigorate the economy and provide a social safety net to our vulnerable sectors. The initiative is aimed at boosting the confidence of our businesses and industries, making our manufacturing globally competitive, linking our agriculture and small farmers with global supply chains, and attracting investments and technology. I wish to highlight that a neglected sector with huge potential for employment and development is agriculture. While employing a major share of the population, the contribution of agriculture to states' GDPs in the Northeast region is currently small, 15 to 20% at an average. And to facilitate farming in India, the government has announced a new framework for farmers to enter into direct contracts with those who wish to buy their products. I think this is especially relevant in the Northeast, considering the importance of agriculture and horticulture in this sector. And the terrain in the Northeast also makes it suitable for fruit and vegetable cultivation, plantation crops, including new ones in the region such as coffee, horticulture, floriculture, and also medicinal plants. In Sikkim, floriculture and organic farming and produce are the norm, and this could open up wide markets. We must encourage our youth to be agri-entrepreneurs, take a lead role in agri-startups, and encourage agricultural technology adoption. And in MSMEs as well, the government has taken some very, very major steps that would provide more credit facilities, and at the same time would encourage MSMEs from coming up. And this, I think, is where the Northeast has particular potential. I do understand there is a constraint of time. What I think will do is that I will pass on the text of my speech to the university to utilize and consider it read. But I would take a few minutes just to highlight here what the Honorable Governor has mentioned, is that in our foreign policy focus, I think the Northeast and opening up the Northeast to opportunities has been very important. Both our Act East and Neighborhood First policies converge from the Northeast. And in that context, over the last few years, the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been extremely proactive in working with our neighboring states to see how we can create greater connectivity, build infrastructure, promote people-to-people ties, all with the aim of securing greater opportunities for the country in general and for the Northeast in particular. Shri ji mentioned that I was High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh. I have personal experience there. We have always believed that with our closest neighbors, the Prime Minister's policy of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas applies equally to them. In other words, we cannot prosper and develop without our neighbors prospering and developing with us. We take everybody with us, and we treat, in many senses, our neighbors with the same facilities and opportunities as we provide to our own states. In this context, I think Bangladesh is a case in point. In the last few years, we have invested about $10 billion in the development of that country. Today, Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing countries in the world. And in doing so, I think it has created huge market opportunities for us. It's a country of 160, 170 million people with greater purchasing power. It requires huge imports of food grains, vegetables, horticultural products, consumer goods, equipment, machinery, and expertise. And here, I think the Northeast has a lot to gain. If you look at the state of Meghalaya, whatever they produce is exported to Bangladesh. You talk about coal, limestone, rock boulders, bamboo, vegetables, is exported to Bangladesh. You talk about Tripura, whether they produce tea or rubber, exported to Bangladesh. I think Sikkim has a lot of potential there. When I drive up from Siliguri to Darjeeling and you look down, you see the plains of the Tista, which is in Bangladesh. In other words, you simply need to send your products downstream and it will find its way in Bangladesh. You have a tremendous advantage in producing fruits and vegetables, but also other products that is of utility to Bangladesh. Sikkim also has tremendous hydroelectric potential. Today, we are working with all our neighboring states to export energy. We are exporting almost 1,600 megawatts of energy to Bangladesh. We are exporting 660 megawatts to Nepal. We import from Bhutan. But we are looking at also creating huge export opportunities for energy to Myanmar. In fact, one of the reasons that I'm traveling to Myanmar in the next few days is also to see how we can set up a transmission line from Northeast India into Myanmar and provide electricity, sell electricity to them. Sikkim as a country, as a state with tremendous hydroelectric potential, a lot of surplus energy, I think can fit into that mold and should be in a position to supply hydroelectric power to Myanmar and also to Bangladesh for that matter. Now, if you look at what we have done with Japan, one of the very important initiatives that the Prime Minister took with Prime Minister Abe, who is, unfortunately not in good health and will have to hand over the baton to someone else in that country. But essentially, they have created a partnership that has been unparalleled between India and Japan. And today, I think if the focus of Japan in development partnership terms is on the Northeast, it is because our focus and the Prime Minister's focus has been on development of the Northeast. And if you look at the India-Japan Act East Forum, which is the driving force to advance India-Japan cooperation, what are the projects that they have in mind? What are the projects that they're doing? In Sikkim, it is a biodiversity conservation and forest management. In Meghalaya and Mizoram, they're creating connectivity, Northeast connectivity, infrastructure development. In Nagaland, it is forest conservation and livelihood, bridge building, and so on and so forth. And one of the very interesting schemes is the Japan-India Northeast Bamboo Initiative, into how to develop industrial uses of bamboo, how to develop bamboo forest management, and how we can use this valuable resource, which is common to all the Northeastern states for the export to Japan and other countries, is something that is of great interest. I think as we go along, we will find that through BIMSTEC, we are creating networks and opportunities with all our partners, including Thailand and Myanmar. Today, two important projects are being undertaken in Myanmar. One is the Kaladan multi-purpose transit transport project. This essentially provides an opening from the Northeast to the sea. From the state of Mizoram, the road goes up to the riverine port of Paleva and then to the sea, where we have developed the port of Sitwe. In other words, goods in the Northeast can take this route and be sent to the rest of the country and get goods also from there. We will also be able to find that from here you can tap export markets in Southeast Asia, Japan, other countries. That's a tremendous, I would say, project once it comes on stream. The other is the trilateral highway linking India to Southeast Asia through land connectivity. It starts in the state of Manipur through Imphal, More, Tamu, goes up to Yangon and then beyond. When I was ambassador to Thailand, I remember going to this town of Mesot, which is on the border with Myanmar, where the trilateral highway connects. So in the very near future, I hope we should be able to take this road from the Northeast, go down to Southeast Asia. And these are the sort of projects that we are working on that is designed to create real opportunities for our younger people in the Northeast region. Road, rail connectivity, airport connectivity, you already have the airport in Guwahati, an international airport, but in Bagdogra also you have an international airport that is a gateway to the rest of the world for our people from Sikkim and Darjeeling areas. Of course, trade and investment will increase. I've already mentioned that. But it's important to equip the youth from our region with the necessary skills. The Government of India has established institutes such as the Central Institute of Hotel Management, operational in Guwahati and Shillong. These are, I think, useful areas for our younger people. But there is also an Institute of Hotel Management in Gangtok. And a financial grant has been extended for similar institutes at Agartala, Jorhat, Imphal, Dibrugarh, Itanagar, and Aizawl. Sectors such as handicrafts, small-scale manufacturing to feed into supply chains, passing through connectivity routes of the region, paper, plywood, cargo, and transportation, several others sectors will bring new employment opportunities to the region. Assured and affordable electricity and internet connectivity in the region will create a wave of innovation and digital products to suit the local needs of the people. I'm confident that institutions like the ICFAI, which are prepared to train the youth of the Northeast in acquiring skills required for the next generation opportunities arriving at their doorsteps even as we speak. A strong, stable, and prosperous Northeast is a key to building a self-reliant India. When we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think it really means self-reliance in all of our regions and in particular the Northeast. The Act East policy of the Prime Minister provides an effective means to achieve this. The realization of this dream brings together various ministries of the Government of India as also the state governments, which are both implementing agencies and beneficiaries at the ground level. As we focus on timely completion of infrastructure projects such as rail, road, port upgradation, border checkposts, trading points, both in the Northeast and across the border in our neighboring states, the Ministry of External Affairs will continue to facilitate all initiatives in this regard. I want to conclude by thanking once more the ICFAI University Sikkim, in particular Vice Chancellor Dr. Patnaik, for giving me this opportunity to address this August gathering, for honoring me with the D.Litt honoris causa, for bringing me closer to my roots and to my home. And I look forward to working closely with various ministries, state governments, stakeholders, educational training institutions in this regard. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Sir, thank you so much for the wonderful address. Moving forward now, our Honorable VC Sir has been able to join us back because earlier he had some connectivity issues. So Sir, I would like to request you to kindly forward your address to the gathering.
Namaskar to all of you. Honorable Governor Shri Ganga Prasad ji, Honorable Foreign Secretary Dr. VardhanShringla ji, Dr. Hari from the Lead India Foundation, USA, Dr. Abdul, all distinguished panelists, esteemed guests, media friends, my faculty, my students, and the viewers. The idea of hosting today's webinar is to promote and strengthen our citizen and society welfare through entrepreneurship and skill development activities. I truly believe that today's initiative will support in creation and dissemination of innovation, knowledge, and novelty that will improve the quality of life in various rural and semi-urban areas through various research and educational advancement. I thank all of you, our esteemed guests, for their kind gestures and support in promoting this webinar, Self-Reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and believe that this world definitely brings some right ideas, knowledge, and platform for the invention and disseminations of diverse knowledge and upskilling India. There is a statement, be an employment giver, not a receiver. This is what the motto we have to build India to promote the entire country. Many thanks to all of you for being with us today to witness the great webinar, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Jai Hind, and thank you again for all our esteemed panelists, esteemed guests to be with us today on this webinar conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And now moving forward, I would like to introduce to our audience, Dr. Hari Eppanapally, Chairman, the CIC Group, Inc., New Jersey, USA. Dr. Hari Eppanapally is a financial services professional, an entrepreneur and a philanthropist with a passion for healthcare, education, and the environment. His mission has been to transform youth into responsible citizens to establish a peaceful society for harmonious living. He received his B.Tech in Mechanical Engineering from JNTU Hyderabad, a Master's in Computer Science from New Jersey Institute of Technology, and completed an executive program in General Management from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Dr. Hari Eppanapally is serving as the Global Ambassador and the Chairman of the JNTU Hyderabad Alumni Association. Dr. Hari is an entrepreneur, keynote speaker, investor in disruptive technology companies, and serves as Chairman of the Board for the CIC Group Quibble Genomics Institute and co-founder of the GITA Fund. He serves on the boards for several for-profit and non-profit organizations. Dr. Hari is a vision mentor, founder, and chairman of the Lead India and Liberty Foundation, advisor to Alternate Development Organization in Norway, and the founding board member and serving as the vice president of Financial Policy Council, a think tank organization with a mission to connect Wall Street, Main Street, and Washington to promote entrepreneurship. Dr. Hari Eppanapally worked closely with the 11th President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, on the Lead India movement since 2008. Lead India is a brainchild of Dr. Kalam's Vision 2020 and founded with a mission to provide affordable quality healthcare, affordable quality education, preserve and protect the planet for future generations, and develop spiritual families to establish peace and harmony in the society. He is the founding chairman of the Lead India Foundation USA. I now request Dr. Hari Eppanapally to kindly address the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shri. This is good morning to all of you. I'm based in New Jersey. It's about 2:30 a.m. in the morning. Thank you for inviting me to address this August gathering on self-reliant India, entrepreneurship and employment opportunities. First, my regards to the Honorable Governor, Shri Ganga Prasad ji, and our keynote speaker, Shri VardhanShringla, and our chief patron of the ICFA University, Jagannath Patnaik ji, and distinguished guests, speakers, and the viewers of all over the world. This event is being watched on internet and several other media channels. Thank you very much. I would like to go over the 11th President of India, Dr. Kalam's appropriate in this conference is his Pura program, providing urban amenities in rural areas. So his theory was electronic connectivity, health connectivity, education connectivity, and grid independent energy connectivity, especially for the Northeast region. It's important to, instead of laying the power lines, independently providing the energy, which will lead into financial connectivity and develop the nation holistically. That reduces the migration of rural population into overcrowded urban areas. And Dr. Kalam also realized the human resource potential of India. About 65% are below 35 years and 55% are all below 25 years and 35% are below 15 years. The average age of an Indian working will be 29 years by 2020. And also it is projected that 1 in 5 working in the world will be of Indian origin. And that's the reason he created this Lead India movement to transform these young minds into responsible citizens to avoid disaster in India and the world. And the time is appropriate for his vision 2020 to take shape at this moment of COVID-19 pandemic, actually. So the COVID-19 has created a global impact on the economy, healthcare, education, energy, employment due to restricted mobility. This created an opportunity and undeniable challenge like reduced productivity, increased unemployment, and reduced liquidity in the marketplace. Pandemic has also affected the lives of the farmers, the weavers, the masons, and so many daily wage earners alike. In order to help revive the rural economy, it is important that we prioritize our public health, education, and encourage the development of both small and medium scale businesses, and connect the newly unemployed with the talent-seeking industries, and eventually restore the lives of all who were affected severely by COVID-19 pandemic. UNESCO estimated that over 1.5 billion students in 165 countries are out of school, college due to COVID. Especially youth are undergoing a lot of stress and losing hope since schools and colleges are closed. Employment has become tough for those who are all qualified already. They need mentorship and guidance to boost their confidence levels and give them hope to show that the COVID cloud will pass and there is a bright future ahead of them so that they can pursue their passion and realize the dreams. This may require a lot of partnerships between institutions of developed and developing countries to share knowledge and resource to kickstart economy using the green energy and industry 4.0 technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, genetic testing, 5G technology, AR, VR technology, cybersecurity, and electrical vehicles, and especially smart cities. To generate employment, offer affordable quality healthcare using telemedicine, and offer affordable quality education through blended learning and model at scale. So especially the organizations like Indo Global Business Park can play an important role at this juncture to connect the global investors to India through the self-reliance of India concept. So today, I'm just looking at the numbers. The world has crossed over 28 million people who are affected with COVID and over 907,000 people dead. And India, unfortunately, reached the second position today with 4.4 million people affected and 75,000 people dead. So this is the situation. So it is definitely a challenge, and this we need to convert into an opportunity, the adversity that we are going through. So it is projected that about close to $82 trillion over a 5-year period will be the impact of the COVID, and especially the cities of developing countries will be hit hard. 2 out of every 5 jobs lost may not come back. So inequality gap widens in the society and reduced liquidity in the market and increased borrowing costs. So this is truly an opportunity India can seize based on what is happening in the global market because of the mistrust with China in the marketplace. Whatever happened, without looking into the history, I think we need to take advantage of this adversity and see what we can do. So at a time when the world is suffering from deadly pandemic, India plans to convert this crisis into an opportunity and strengthen its fight by becoming Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliant India. The term was coined by our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, during his address to the nation on May 12, 2020. He called this campaign as an Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India movement. He also defined 5 pillars of self-reliant India: economy, infrastructure, system, demography, and demand. He stressed upon the fact that it is time to become vocal for our local products and make them global. Under this campaign, a special economic package has been released, as you all know, by the Government of India, which will benefit various segments, including cottage industry, micro, small, and medium enterprises, the laborers, the middle class, and industries, among others. The economic package that was announced by the Prime Minister, along with various packages released during the lockdown period, comes to around 20 lakh crores, about $283 billion, which is about 10% of India's GDP. It is expected to provide support and strength to various sections of the country and give a renewed boost to the development journey of the country in 2020. In order to prove the determination of the self-reliant India, land, labor, liquidity, and loss have all been emphasized in this package. So especially India came up with this new education policy that will be a boost. India has been sending the students to overseas for higher education. Now that all can be reversed with this new education policy. I commend the government of India for introducing it, a timely education policy after 34 years. And this particular 20 lakh package has got 4 tranches. The tranche 1, businesses including MSME support, and tranche 2, poor including the migrant and farmers, tranche 3 on agriculture, tranche 4, new horizon of growth, which includes coal sector, mineral sector, defense sector, aviation sector, power sector, social infrastructure sector, and space sector, atomic energy related reforms. The Honorable Foreign Secretary who is here, I think the IGBP can work with the various embassies of India around the world so that the energy sector and investments into any of these tranche 4 sectors can be solicited so that we could bring in a lot of investment from overseas. And then tranche 5 said employment generation is the key, and health sector and education sector, especially health. If we can provide affordable quality healthcare in India, it can become a destination for global medical tourism. So it is a wonderful step towards that the government of India has taken to invest money into this and education sector as well. So I would like to conclude with a few recommendations. After World War II, Japan had a razor-like focus to become a developed nation, and India has to convert this adversity into an opportunity so that we can become a developed nation as well. Invest in providing affordable quality healthcare and make India a destination for healthcare, and highlighting importance of technology proficiency in an increasing digitized world, increase access to affordable, high quality education through blended learning at scale. Instead of sending students overseas, make India a destination for higher education. Using online learning tools like upskill and reskill low skilled workers to prepare them with employable skills for the industry 4.0. Invest in universities to promote innovation, to lead into entrepreneurship, and conceive and implement policies to stimulate the rural economy, promote cottage, small and medium scale industries, promote IoT-based e-agriculture, since India is a very large agriculture-based economy, and study the global markets that needs to have business generation cells in Indian embassies overseas. I think the Foreign Secretary can play a key role in promoting this concept. And the opportunities for investments in India, especially in the tranche 4 area where the coal sector, mineral sector, defense sector will be very interesting for foreigners to come and invest in India. So with this, I would like to thank the ICFI University and IGBP for inviting me and associating with the Lead India Foundation. And I would like to mention that IGBP has recruited me recently as a Vice President for International Affairs. I'll be playing a key role in connecting the various entrepreneurs globally to promote the India's economy in as much as possible. So I would like to work closely with the overseas Indian embassies in this context as a Vice President of the IGBP. Thank you so much again. Would like to see rest of the panelists and look forward to hearing from them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really wonderful hearing from you again. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Pramita Gurung, our Associate Dean, ICFI University Sikkim, to kindly put forward the vote of thanks to end this inaugural session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Namaste and good afternoon, respected Honorable Governor, respected Honorable Foreign Secretary of India, respected Honorable Vice Chancellor, and our distinguished guests and all the participants. I consider it a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries who have made it convenient to attend this international webinar organized by ICFI University Sikkim in collaboration with Indo-Global Business Park, Global Trade Platform, and Lead India Foundation USA. Today's webinar topic has been a fitting an idea of our Honorable Prime Minister, Sir Shri Narendra Modi, who made a clarion call for our Atmanirbhar Bharat, or a self-reliant India. He exhorted the entire citizen to utilize this time of pandemic crisis to be a vocal for local and be a self-reliant. On behalf of ICFA University, Sikkim, I express my deep gratitude and sincere thanks and extend my very hearty vote of thanks to the respected Honorable Governor, Shri Ganga Prasad, who blessed us with his presence despite his hardcore official commitment. Thank you, sir, for taking time off from your busy schedule to be with us and accepting our invitation to grace the occasion for today, and for also enlightening addresses. His address was unique as always. Sir, I thank you for presiding over this occasion and your address. I also take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to Honorable Foreign Secretary of India, Shri VardhanShringla, for sharing his valuable time with us and gracing this occasion. His presence today in this function has immensely enhanced its importance. We are extremely grateful to you, sir, for your astute address. We have just listened to the powerful and thought-provoking address by our eminent guest speaker, Dr. Eppanapally, Chairman, the CIC Group, New Jersey, USA, who has spoken extensively on Lead India Movement, new education policy. We greatly value his contribution in the Self-Reliant India and express our profound thanks to him for sharing his view with us on a topic. Let me mention that this webinar would not have been taken save it took for the keen personal interest taken by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Jagannath Patnaik. Amidst this pressing job requirement, he frequently interacted with the organizing team and provided us with the several ideas right from the conceptualization and into the conclusion stage. I must express my deep gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, for his continuous guidance and support for holding such webinars. I must express my deep gratitude and thanks to our Registrar, Sir, Dr. Ravinder Chetri, and Deputy Registrar, Sir, Mr. Rohit Rathi, for continuous guidance and encouragement in all our activities, and always ensuring that we always do the right thing in the right way, and for summing up the proceeding of the event lucidly. I must be failing in my duty if I don't thank to Deputy Registrar Skill Madam, Ms. Sandhya Rani Pant, and Development Officer, Ms. Sissy Randeep Rai. Thank you, Madam, for the time and hard work you contributed for this organizing this webinar, without which this webinar would not be successful. Thank you, ma'am. Lastly, I welcome and express my sincere thanks to all the eminent speakers of the day who have taken keen interest in today's webinar and have taken time out of their busy schedule to grace this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, now we move on to the plenary session of today's webinar, where the eminent speakers will all be giving their views on the topic, Self-Reliant India, Entrepreneurship and Employment Opportunities. But before we move forward, I would like to put in a few words. I begin with a quote: "True entrepreneurs see opportunities where others cannot or do not." The term Self-Reliant India was coined by our Honorable Prime Minister of India during his address to the nation on 12th May 2020. He called it Atmanirbhar Bharat and stressed that it is time we become vocal for local products and make them global. It should be seen as an opportunity in the times of crisis and to push Indian products large enough to become international brands. Our entrepreneurs are national assets to be cultivated, motivated, and remunerated to the greatest possible extent. Entrepreneurship of a country can have a cascading effect where it stimulates related businesses or sectors that need to support the new venture, furthering economic development. Entrepreneurial ventures help generate new wealth. Existing businesses may remain confined to existing markets and may hit the glass ceiling in terms of income. New and improved products, services, or technology from entrepreneurs enable new markets to be developed and new wealth to be created. Additionally, Increased employment and higher earnings contribute to better national income in the form of higher tax revenue and higher government spending. This revenue can be used by the government to invest in other struggling sectors and human capital. Now, without further ado, I welcome and introduce Dr. ShahidYamin, Executive Chairman and Co-founder, Global Opportunities Commercialization. Dr. ShahidYamin has 40 years of diverse experience in business concept development through creative and innovative fusion of technology. He is a leader in product development, market validation, and development. He is an expert in opportunities, validation, and disruption of markets to create higher economic and social value for the society through effective commercialization. He has a firm belief that sustainable businesses in the 21st century need to foster on optimizing profits by adopting innovative and unique business models that provide high economic, social, and community values for the geographic territory in which the businesses operate. He has helped clients to create, develop, and execute successful startup businesses in Southeast Asia, South Asia, Europe, Middle East, and MENA regions. He has been advisor to government and industry bodies in the Middle East and MENA regions to stimulate entrepreneurial growth and development within their societies. He has created, developed, and implemented centers for innovation and entrepreneurship capacity building. He has led the development of scale for successful startup businesses by designing innovative strategies that focus on sustainable growth by creating and implementing unique business models that foster global reach. Through his association with global universities, Sir has led the development of entrepreneurial capacity by training, developing young executives to become dynamic business thinkers in creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship, enabling them to create sustainable businesses across geographic territories. His extensive experience with large diverse corporations such as BHP, Ho CHST, Unido, Stone Manganese Marine resulted in the success of the above initiatives. Today, executives trained by Dr. Yamin are successfully leading global businesses. I now request Dr. ShahidYamin to kindly put forward his address. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. It is my great pleasure and privilege to be able to share my ideas with an esteemed forum such as ICAFI conference. It is a conference which has a topic which is very close to my heart, because I believe that in this day and age, the only pillar of development is entrepreneurship. There is no other economic pillars, because no longer land and money and all these things matter. It is the creative ideas that take us forward. It is the implementation of creative ideas that take us forward. So formally, I would like my topic for today is creating entrepreneurship capacity as a catalyst for economic growth in India. Honorable Governor of Sikkim, Shri Ganga Prasad, Honorable Foreign Secretary of India, Shri VardhanShringla, Dr. Jagannath Patnaik, Vice Chancellor, ICAFI University, distinguished guests and speakers, ladies and gentlemen of the esteemed audience, good morning and namaste. In my case, it is late afternoon, but good morning is valid for India. On behalf of Global Opportunities Commercialization, I feel privileged to have the opportunity to share innovative thoughts with this esteemed audience in this conference. My presentation is targeted towards practical solutions that can evoke meaningful and measurable results. A significant body of literature that argues that increasing entrepreneurial capacity and businesses is the only route for accelerated economic development. In the 21st century, entrepreneurship is the most significant pillar of economic and social development. India is blessed with abundant, highly talented human resources. We do not pay as much attention as we should, because all of South Asia has got very highly talented human resources. Perhaps it is because of our relatively competitive environment that exists within the countries, but we have got highly talented human potential. Yet about almost 50% of the population lives in some form of poverty. Now, I have lived 12 years in poverty with my parents, although I must say that I was not affected as much by the poverty because my parents were kind enough to protect me from that poverty as best as they could under the circumstances. But I have witnessed what poverty is, and I have witnessed what poverty mindset is. And poverty mindset is the cancer which help poverty grow. And my presentation is very much focused on that how can we translate or transform poverty mindset into a growth mindset, which is self-dependence, which gives you that fire in the belly to move forward. High percentage of young people with vivid dreams and energy can become a nation's greatest asset, or unrealized dream and deflated energy can make them the biggest liability. So while it is a gold mine of young people that we have to be conversant about that these young people need to have opportunities to grow. If they do not have opportunities to grow, if they come if they are restricted in so many ways to go forward, then they can become liability to the nation. The solution in alleviating poverty in India lies in the social and economic empowerment of grassroots people, because most of the attention has been given to economic development from the top. What is important is to develop the grassroots people, empower them to develop the grassroots people. To foster development at the grassroots level, rural and urban population, a key strategy should be to transform poverty mindset into growth mindset, which takes a very different route. We can give them resources, financial, physical, and other resources, but as long as they have poverty mindset, the development is either very slow or negligible. The journey of humanity from dependence to independence is the most important journey that the grassroots people needs to take. And it can be accomplished by developing a mindset which acknowledges a purpose of life, which acknowledges that there is a hidden passion which is not so obvious because of the circumstances they are living in, which acknowledges that with training and coaching, training, and continuously mentoring them, the grassroots population can be transformed. Sparking the passion will result in igniting the talents which they are not even aware of. Many of the people are not even aware of the sort of talents that they have. I mean, I give you my own example. Many of the things that I have done, I was not aware that I was able to do it. But I had to take the challenge. This is the fire in the belly that forces you to take new challenges in order to grow and become somebody. With the help of carefully designed coaching techniques, training, and mentoring, we can change that mindset, as well as sparking the passion will result in identifying these rather innate, unidentified challenges. So what I propose is a smart innovation and entrepreneurship center. This is not the center of high technology. This is a center of providing vocational training with an entrepreneurial aspect, so that these businesses, micro businesses, macro businesses can develop and then provide specialized commercialization techniques in order to make them bigger businesses, to create synergy. This institute should be easily accessible and affordable to the grassroots people. This is not IIT. This is not IIM. This is an institute which is designed to spark the growth, the mental and intellectual growth of grassroots people. The institute will not only accelerate adult learning, which is commonly recognized as the raising the living standards of people, but also it will create micro, macro enterprises, innovative, home-based businesses. I have established a center of entrepreneurship in UAE, where it was targeted on women entrepreneurship, because as per their cultural constraints, women were not allowed to go too far away from home to work. So I created that to create women entrepreneurs based on home-based businesses. I had organized several women entrepreneurship conferences in which I got all the ex-graduates and other university females to come and attend and listen to some of the women entrepreneurs who have done excellent things. So this is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that those who do not have entrepreneurial talent will become very highly skilled, creative workforce. So you are actually developing people who are either going to take the risk of setting up the business and developing the business with the support of this Smart Institute, with the support of the mentoring of this Smart Institute, holding hand, just like when a baby starts to walk, we hold hand in order to assist that baby to become confident. We hold hand of these people till they are ready to exit the incubators in Smart Institute and stand on their own 2 feet and develop the business. I would also say that unshackling the human potential of both males and females can unleash invaluable energy, which would evolve and transform the rural and urban communities. It is my firm belief there are a lot of literature which argues that human potential does not develop because the environment is not there. And I believe they are wrong. And just to give you an example, go into YouTube and look at Padman, who transformed a particular problem into a business, and who is now speaking in Harvard University, Stanford University, and so on and so forth internationally. He is a year 9 dropout, and he is from India. So the point is that this is a misnomer, that because I was born in poor circumstances, I do not have any talents. I do not have any potential to go forward. It is the mindset that translates into the potential. What I suggest is that this sort of center should be a public and private partnership. There are many reasons for it. Because firstly, there is a healthy tension between the public and private investment, because private investment always likes to be far more prudent than public investment. Public investment sometimes is a lot slower in terms of getting results. But when there is a public and private partnership, it will actually accelerate the results. So, because the private partner people invest money solely on the base of return on investment. Public bodies invest money in more intangible aspects of human development. When both things are combined together, it gives that richness. It gives that synergy between private and public partnership. My second thing is that failure and success are integral part of any creativity, any innovation, and any entrepreneurship. This is a mindset which has to be developed, and this is a mindset which has to be accepted. Because to me, every failure is the first step to success. And therefore, this private and public partnership public partnership is going to be a lot stronger to support the person who has been unsuccessful in some way to make it successful. And therefore, there is this healthy contrast between public and private partnership. Also, public and private partnership reduces the level of bureaucracy, because entrepreneurship requires quick decisions. As one of the previous speakers said, that creativity and innovation and opportunity knocks on every door, but not everybody listens to it.
So sorry to interrupt you, sir. So sorry to interrupt you, but we don't have much time with us. If we could kindly expedite.
Yeah, I'm about to.
Okay.
So this is the third thing that is important. The final thing that is important is that the center should actually focus on profit, but should be a non-profit center, in the sense that that profit is reimbursed back into the center's operation and to grow the center. So in this 5 minutes or so that was given to every speaker, it is not possible to talk about the modus operandi and things like that, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that may arise. And if there is not enough time for that, please feel free to contact me on WhatsApp and +61 407 530 955, and we can have a chat with interested parties. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really wonderful. Thank you so much. So now I welcome and introduce our next speaker, Mr. Abdul Dewale Mohammed, founder and executive president, Global South Economic Forum. Abdul Dewale Mohammed, an icon, reformist, and change maker, is a global strategic management, public relations, and marketing consultant. A prolific entrepreneur, renowned public speaker, mentor, author, writer, publisher, and philanthropist of high repute. He is the founder and group executive president of the Africa Asia Scholars Global Network and the founder and executive chairman of the Global South Economic Forum. Founder of the Africa Arab Asia Pacific University Presidents. ADM is a signatory to the United Nations Global Compact, member of the UK Stakeholders for Sustainable Development, affiliate member of the International Association of Universities, member European Alliance for Innovation, strategic partner, Danubius Academic Consortium, and Advisory Council member, associate of the Association of Universities of Asia and Pacific. He is a very ardent and close associate of the Association of African Universities, a sturdy campaigner for the advancement of the Bandung Principle of the 1955 Asia-Africa Conference, the Alliance of the South Center, the UN Office of the South-South Cooperation, the Group 77 at the UN ADM's most recent 2020 report to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, along with the proposal on measures required to rebuild the bricks of our fractured world. In 1991, as CEO and Managing Director of the DDOV Consortium, ADM in commemoration of Nigeria's hosting of the OAU African Union Summit initiated and successfully organized the first ever international trade fair in Abuja. The fair was the first to be held in Abuja as the new capital city of Nigeria. It was officially declared open by then Nigeria Head of State and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. In his bold effort at advancing human capital and extensively promote sustainable development toward ensuring that the north of Nigeria is not left behind in the country's development, he established the Arewa Industry Business and Education Council, which in partnership with the New Nigeria Development Corporation and Nigeria's former Chief of Army Staff as chairman, was successfully launched in Kaduna on 6th April 2000. Late Emir of Kano, Ado Bayero, had stressed that the project AIBEC, as initiated by Abdul, was to better the lives of the poor and economically disadvantaged, and pleaded for the initiative not to be hijacked by the affluent for the affluent. I now request Mr. Mohammed to kindly put forward his address to the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I would like to first say to His Excellency, also Honorable Foreign Secretary, as well as the Chairman of the CIC Group, and also distinguished panelists, it's my great pleasure to be invited by my very good friend and colleague, Professor Dr. Jagannath Patnaik, and also to thank the board of ICFAIA for at least accepting me to be able to speak at this very important well, when we talk about the major aspect is talking about self-reliant of India. First, we look at the fact that as I'm busy in the UK, I'll say India is my second home. Because over the last 5 years, I've been traveling about 4 or 5 times to India. And my relationship is quite very, very deep with India. And it's a country and also a sort of society which I really appreciate. And we do all the best. And not only the fact that it's a very important country within the South-South Cooperation, which my organization, the Global South Economic Forum, is very much concerned about. But before I could go on and talk, I think I'll just give a brief about ASGON and G7. I remember 1955, the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, along with Nkrumah, first President of Ghana, and some other Asian leaders, they came together in Bandung, which is Indonesia, and where there was to empower developing countries, not only political independence, but economic independence. Unfortunately, our governments, our media, the civil society organization never enlightened the minds of young people like me then about the fact that us together so that at least we can empower ourselves. We wouldn't be talking about 65 years, talking about entrepreneurship now, you know, but however, that was the essence why the organization, the Africa-Asia Scholars Global Network, was set up on 10th of October 2010. I know I have just about a few minutes, so I'm going to be very fast, very precise. Now, from the Bandung, it led to NAM, which is the Non-Aligned Movement. And then we went into the South Center, which President Nyerere of Tanzania chaired, which then led to, that was SASA Corporation, which led to the South Center, which is in Switzerland. And then today we have the UN Office of the SASA Corporation. And we also have the largest group within the UN, which is the G77. Now, these are the areas where my organizations are very much connected with, and which we're working very strongly to see how we be able to make the world more a viral place for our generations, our younger generations. Now, talking about India's self-reliance, first I want to commend the government of India and the people of India, because there are three key areas where we must very much give commendation to the Indian people and the government, and that is the area of technology, the area of agriculture, and also we talk about medicine. And we believe that if these areas are being strengthened, because I remember that was about 2017, I guess, that I spent 4 months in Bhopal. We all remember when the chemical disaster in Bhopal, in Madhya Pradesh, which led to everybody called Bhopal City of Sadness. And we thought maybe we could contribute to make a city of happiness. And at that time, it was only Madhya Pradesh that had a minister of happiness. And that period, which I spent 4 months in Bhopal, I also were able to travel. I don't know how many people are, on this panel who were Indians who actually traveled the way I've traveled, because I traveled 39 hours by train from Bhopal to Hyderabad. That was Ramoji Film City, in that quest to be able to organize the first World Film Music Arts Award Festival. Now, I also commend the Indian government for the educational policy, which the chairman of CIC mentioned earlier. I think it was very important and very unique that the government was able to come out with a policy. This is sort of the issues that the policy relevant to our colleagues to look at and see how we can make some contribution towards that policy itself. Now, I've mentioned about my relationship with India, which is quite unique for the fact that I've been highly honored in India with having to have 3 trees. One is VIT in Chennai, and then we have one outside of Bhopal, which is also the third one was in Chandigarh, which is in Punjab. And I believe that my organization, India is very important to the global South. And so it's very relevant that we look at what India can be able to advance to other countries. And one of the ways which I'm coming to the aspect of the Northeast of India. Now let's look at COVID-19. COVID itself, like we said, is a wake-up call, because in 2018, we all know about the Global South. We know about the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. They did mention the theme of the conference about the fractured world, and nobody, which is unfortunate, because we said COVID is a wake-up call for considering that the fact that the world is. I'm glad that the Secretary of State, the Foreign Secretary, had mentioned about talking about globalization, because most of this talk here today was connection with other countries, because no country can do it alone. We all need each other as much as we can, because although at the moment it's the globalization on social media, not in real fact, but we have to really let globalization exist. And what we try to do when we look at COVID-19 is that it's a wake-up call for us to start valuing people, valuing time, valuing lives, and ensuring that at least we can do things differently. I said differently because even the London School of Economics here did say that the structures we have are not working. Even the United Nations did mention about the structures we have are unsustainable. So which means we need to sit down and try to restructure the way we do things. And if we don't do that, I think we'll continue. But I'm thinking wake-up call could be, the wake-up call is this COVID. And what I will try to refer to, because we've said something. There's so much we say in conferences. I remember when I was in Siena, Italy, with the international universities, where we have the largest number of presidents of universities. And with no regrets, I did say that we're all academic tourists. So we have to review even composition of universities, even the curriculum that we give out. These are try to ensure that it can meet that aspect, because we always say one thing. every child is a resource person, every child. And a lot of gifts, which everybody has. We talk about issue of having the human capacity development, which is an area our organization is about. That is looking at good governance, human capacity development, and looking about how we can unlock the wealth of universities. And these are things which needs to be done. And because of time, I also mentioned that one thing I want to thank the University of ICFIA for agreeing to at least host the all university presidents, because the organization, the Africa Asia Scholars Global Network, has been given the mandate by the Arab Association universities, with over 300 universities in the Middle East, as well as the Asia Pacific University, which I serve on the board, and also the African universities, for us to at least be able to create what we call the Forum of Africa Arab Asia Pacific University President. And we're very pleased and happy, and want to thank Professor Jagnet for looking at the positive of hosting the association. And we expect that His Excellency, the Honorable President of India, will be inaugurating this body next year, which is about to mark the International Youth Day, and we're looking at August. So we will be working much on this. And not only that, I'm glad that His Excellency, the Governor of Sikkim, is right there, because we intend that this period, which also relates to what Professor I am the last speaker mentioned, and that is about setting up a center. So we are proposing to set up a center, which will, with time we'll meet with the governor to talk about how we can be able to lay a center called the Gandhi Mandela Zayed Innovation, Resource and Technology Center, which we hope will also be established in Sikkim. And also taking it, because if you don't have a structure, because with the FAPOP, Forum of Africa, if you don't have a structure, you can't change systems. And what is most important is that if you want to guarantee self-reliance, entrepreneurship and employment are very, very important. They're very key. And to achieve this, we have to work closely with chambers of commerce. It's not the job of government to do business. They have to create infrastructures. It's for the what they call the chambers of commerce. So we need to, just example, that's why I commend the University of Dubai, which was established by Dubai Chamber of Commerce. We need to have university closely, institutions working closely with chambers of commerce, and that's very important. And what we try to say is the restructure. If we can restructure, for instance, we have projects now which we're looking at even in India. If you look at the issue of even fourth industrial revolution, now we talk about COVID, employment. What happens when the fourth industrial revolution really key in? So what we are trying to do, which we're also trying to ensure that India can lead on that level, is to create what we call the Global South Summit of, Global South Summit Strategic Partnership on Artificial Intelligence and Nanotechnology. And just know that this is to have where you have the ministers of technology all over science and technology across developing countries, along with the practitioners in science and technology, as well as the universities of science and technology, to sit together. And it is only when we sort of structure where they discuss about policies, then we can have exactly what happened in Bali in 2013. Because in Bali in 2013, the UN, towards going to the global south, what they call the UN Sustainable Development Goals, they called the president of Indonesia, the president of Liberia, and the Prime Minister of the UK at that time to discuss about what are we going to give to the world in 2015. And they then said, renewed global partnership, people-centered policies. And I think these are the key things that every institution, every government must walk through. Partnership and renewed global partnership and people-centered policies. I know when I traveled 39 hours across the train in India, I could see the level of poverty around. Let's be very honest with ourselves. So whatever we are doing, how can it be far-reaching? We are not having far-reaching policies now because the structures in place are not viable, are not sustainable. So we need to look at this, and this is part of why we set up the structure of the Forum of Arab University President, so that at least, and having a center there, so that we can be able to at least, and most importantly, is the mindset. We have to change the mindset orientation of the people. And we also said it, if you have university, lecturers, they all have to at least have the knowledge of how, at least they have to be out of university. They must have work experience outside the university. Most of our university lecturers don't even have any knowledge about the work experience outside the university. And that is not working. So it is important that we restructure. So because a lot of being said in every unit, we have conferences every time. Even the quantum of money we spend on conference can the whole state. So we need to really look down deep. Are we really concerned, caring about the generations that are coming? Why is there endemic poverty? Even the UN Secretary General said not too long about 12 people own at least half of the wealth of this world. And it's happening in society we are. We're 75 years of United Nations in October. We now mark 75 years. So what we are trying to ensure is that we need to at least ensure that we have a very strong connection with our young people, with our youths. They are sometimes not even understanding where we're going, but the youths are very important. We need to invest more in our youths. It's very important. If we want a better future, and part of what we're trying to do, because we have said when the World Economic Forum in 2018 said about the fractured world, all of us were not saying anything. Well, can you imagine the last 6 months, how many COVID conferences and seminars have been held in webinar? But however, what we did as an organization, when the World Economic Forum talked about the fractured world, we sat in our organization and we said, look, hang on, we cannot wait and just look at the fact that has been said, everybody accepts it and everybody just keep numb. And what we did, and it was the 40th anniversary of the World Economic Forum of this conference, and they had women to co-chair the whole event. Oh, fantastic. We're very happy about that because we know the powers of women. But unfortunately, the World Economic Forum only used as numbers. And what happened? We had to call for a meeting in New York with the UN women. And we brought this proposal from UN women. I said, look, hang on. This is the only way we can start rebuilding the bricks of a fractured world. There are just three main key things we need to do. But it was then we realized that the functionalities of the service is not even working. Let's be honest with ourselves. This 75th anniversary of the nation, that's where we're trying with connection with our what we call media partners and various organizations that we are connected with. We're trying to see how we can rebuild a new United Nations. So that because we need a civil society organization. And I want to say this to everybody all over the world. It's time you forget about blaming any government, because the government is part of civil society. All of us have to look inward. We need a civil society organization, and that's why we should not condemn the United Nations. What we should do, come together and start to rebuild a new United Nations. Most of the UN secretaries have always come with reform. Even the current secretary with reform. We come with reform. End of the day, if we don't change the way, the mindset we have, the orientation about caring about people, knowing the values of why you exist in life, these are things that are missing in our universities, and we have to go back. We should not be patching the walls. Let's rebuild. Even we have to break the whole thing and create a new foundation, because we don't have any foundation at the moment. And what the organization are doing, for what we're trying to do, is to lay a solid foundation, so that at least let's start a new United Nations. If you have a very strong civil society organization, then everything will go fine. Why do you have to blame anybody? We are all the same civil society people. And it's important, we have to let people know that when people are in government, they have to know that they are super. And I ask a question, why is it most of the people in government today, they are all products of university? But ask them to go and talk in a university, oh, they probably say, oh, I have other things to do. I mean, we really have to look at our youth, our children. And that's the thing we say to rebuild the bricks of the fractured world. One, we have to start reviewing the rule of law. Number two, we have to make sure that children are teachers at the highest paid anywhere in the world. Mentors, they have to be highest paid. It's happening in Germany. And then we have to talk about the third one. It takes a village to raise a child, not a family. If only these three things we can start, then maybe in the next 20, 30 years, we'll start getting this right. At my life, at my age, at my stage I am today, I can't change the world. But we can come together and start to lay the foundation for change. People are not happy. It is unfortunate that we fail to realize that every child, God has given every child a strong gift. When I was talking to the University of Kent last year, I asked the young people, go outside to the community. Go and look at the problems of the people around the community. See how you can better their lives. Come back to the university and sit down, find solutions to it, and I can assure you, the private sector will come in and fund you. We should change a pattern where 1 out of 300 students are thinking of creating jobs. We want to change it to at least 1 out of 10 students.
Sorry to interrupt.
And I think this is very important.
Sorry, sir.
We're glad the relationship that we build up the ICFI. I know there's quite some other speakers there. And we pray and hope that we will be sincere and honest with our children, our young people, And we have to go from even the grassroots, the little children, from childhood. We have to also ensure that schools work closely with parents. Parenting is a great education. And I believe that during this COVID, quite a number of parents were able, but also we also realize that we have to do differently, be honest with our generations, and we have to just try to ensure that at least we live a great life. And the most important thing, the 17th goal of the UN SDGs must be the foundation. Let us try to build partnership. Let us have at least far-reaching policies. And I can assure you, with the support of the district of the governor of Sikkim, putting up the tap in Sikkim, at the same time, for Sikkim, I see for IUS to inaugurate the forum of the university. We can give even what would I call it? We can give an example to help even the West itself. And then also the fact that we also want to use the opportunity to say the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, will be very glad if you can play a very important role to to champion what we try to do even in the globe, in the developed countries, because we also have people in global south who are in diaspora. And when we say diaspora, is the fact that we talk about Britain being a multicultural society. Even America, we call it multicultural society. But unfortunately, the people that make it multicultural society are not even together. They're not integrated. And I think that should be a failure from people in governance and as civil organization. So we are looking at a way where we can bring first in Europe, then we can go to America, or we can get people from America to come to Europe, and then later we can have people from Europe to go to America, so that we can start at least the Indian government, because the Indian government is the only country in the global south that has put a fund for development with the UN Office of Succession. So it is a good lead. And that is very important because with the support. And if the Foreign Secretary, we will be discussing with them and to see how India can lead within the developing countries to bring within the diaspora, to bring all the various cultures within developing countries together, even in diaspora, to meet together, share ideas, and see if they can also, transplant whatever knowledge and experience they have towards developing countries. So I want to thank the ICFAI for giving me the opportunity to speak at this very important conference. And this is just a start. And we believe that we're more proactive and engage to ensure that our young people will know that we do value them, we do care about them. Because at the end of the day, they say the child is the father of man. They are the ones to take care of us. If we don't take care of them, then it's we that has to blame ourselves. So let's look after our children, let's look after our young people, so that at least we can live a very comfortable old age. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to request all the speakers to kindly adhere to the 5-minute limit that has been given to each speaker in order to, maintain the time of the webinar and so that it does not drag along. So I would like to request the speakers to kindly keep the timeline in mind. Thank you. So we move on with the program, and I now welcome and introduce our next speaker, Mr. Eduardo Mercado, International Consultant, the World Bank, Peru, South America. Mr. Mercado is an international consultant, business executive, and entrepreneur with more than 200 projects developed in 25 countries in America, Europe, Asia. He specializes in strategy, innovation, entrepreneurship, knowledge management, public governance, and digital transformation. He has a master's degree in industrial engineering and operations research and management of technology from the University of California at Berkeley, an executive master's in business administration from Purdue University, and completed the executive program in general management from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He is the director at several consulting and technology firms in Latin America and in the US, and an international consultant at the World Bank and the Inter-American Development Bank. I request Mr. Eduardo to address the gathering now. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the introduction. Thanks a lot to ICFAI University for the invitation, and thanks a lot, Shri and Apanapali, for inviting me. It's a pleasure and an honor to participate in this very relevant event with such distinguished speakers, and I say very passionate to speakers that talked before me. Well, it's almost 3 in the morning in Peru, but I'm very happy to share some insights. I'm going to come from a different angle to my speech related to the Self-Reliant India initiative. So I'm going to share what is the current situation in Latin America and the immediate challenges that we have posed by the pandemic. So you can reflect on them. And I'm going to, even though I have a lot of experience in the private entrepreneurship in business sector, I'm going to come from the political economy point of view in my address. In first place, I'd like to give you a little background about Latin America. Well, it's comprised of 20 countries, combined population of 650 million people, and combined gross domestic product of about 5 trillion US dollars. Main languages are Spanish, most countries, Portuguese in Brazil, and there are basically 3 types of economic systems. Open economies that pursue a neoliberal model like Peru, Chile, and Colombia, mixed economies that follow socialist policies like Brazil and Argentina, and closed economies that follow Marxist policies like Cuba and Venezuela. To note, Latin America is the region with the highest levels of income inequality in the world. As you probably know, Latin America region has now become one of the hardest hit by COVID-19, by the pandemic. At the beginning of the pandemic, the countries faced as most 2 alternatives, either prioritize health by imposing strict lockdowns to reduce the number of infections and deaths, or focus on the economy and lose less strict measures to ease the economic shock. However, Latin America has been unable to cope with neither of them, with very few exceptions. Only Costa Rica and Uruguay have been able to cope with them. Even though the region imposed the strictest lockdowns in the world, so sad to say, deaths continue to rise and gross domestic product has dropped sharply. Now I want to focus on the reasons behind this situation, and they really lie with the structural problems like higher rates of informality, low quality and accessibility to public services, a low state capacity to deliver policies effectively, and also, sad to say, government and private corruption. The levels of informality in the region may be as high as in some countries, which means that people and businesses are not legally incorporated and they don't pay taxes. Therefore, they don't have access to credit. They don't even use the banking system, which has made it very difficult for governments to deliver cash relief transfers to the people and making the situation even harder for them. Although these problems have been present for a long time, COVID-19 has exposed the high levels of inequality in the region and extended the gap between the rich and the poor. As a result of the crisis, gross domestic product levels in the region will fall between -5% and -20%, and poverty levels will increase between 10 and 15% in 2020, which is a real catastrophe, because to come back from that increase in poverty will be hard to recover. And democratic institutions right now are already being challenged by populist leaders from the left and also from the right that want to propose easy measures to get out of the crisis. Therefore, from the political economy point of view, definitely governments must prioritize investment in people and ensure access to public services, mainly health and education, promote the proliferation of inclusive institutions, and very important, reduce the levels of inequality. I think inequality is worse than the pandemic. Inequality is something that is spreading all over the world, and inequality can become the roots of social unrest and riots and even revolutions. However, governments cannot cope with these issues alone. Private sector has to have a more active role, not only by creating jobs and paying taxes, but directly contributing to the community's welfare. For example, Peru is a big mining company, mining country, and the most important mining multinationals like Rio Tinto, Glencore, or BHP Billiton operate some of the biggest mining of the world in Peru. And it would be a shame, to have the most advanced mining equipment and processes surrounded by poor and undeveloped communities. So these private firms have to do something about, relieving the pains of the society. If this doesn't happen, the crisis will become, as I said, a brewing pot for social uprisings and populism, leading to the less democratic governments and maybe dictatorships, as has already happened in Venezuela. Thanks again for having me tonight. I wish this pandemic will soon recede and our countries will return to the path of sustainable growth. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We were glad to have you with us. And I now welcome and introduce our next speaker, Mr. Ridwaan Rajah, Managing Director, Good Hope Construction, Cape Town, South Africa. Ridwaan Rajah has a Bachelor of Science degree in Quantity Surveying with honors from the world-renowned University of Cape Town. He and his family have built the Good Hope Construction from a small business with humble beginnings through the apartheid era into one of the South Africa's largest construction. I now request Mr. Ridwaan Rajah to kindly address the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rita, for that kind introduction. Heartfelt greetings to one and all. I'm very excited to represent my beautiful country of South Africa on this global platform. It's such an honor to share the platform with such distinguished dignitaries and business leaders. I'd like to thank Dr. Harry Eppanapally. I've traveled with Dr. Harry through India on many of his good work. He's an outstanding human being and inspires me as a human being. And I've followed him on many of his journeys and want to always be part of those experiences. I think the world needs more Dr. Harrys to help us find the best solutions in this globe. My name is Ridwaan Rajah. I'm a South African Indian. To expand a bit more about that, South Africa faced colonization, we then moved into apartheid, and in apartheid, where they separated blacks from whites, they further went on to create a Group Areas Act, where they divided people into groups of the areas of their race. So if you were Indian, you had to live in an area only allowed for Indians. In Cape Town, we had areas, Cravenby and Rylands, that were born through the Group Areas Act. In that way, it created very strong Indian communities, which has strong links to India. So our affiliation with India is very, very good in South Africa. And on this platform, you know, it's a great opportunity for South Africa. Before COVID, we were going through a recession. And when COVID came, obviously it applied lots more pressure onto businesses and so forth. And it's only through platforms like this where we can help each other. You know, we want to create opportunities between India, and I hope that this platforms leads to more interaction. Businesses are suffering in South Africa, and the only way for us to re-energize the industry and economy is by these platforms, is by talking to people on similar levels to unlock trades between our countries. There's so much opportunity. South Africa is a beautiful country with beautiful people, hardworking people. We are known throughout the world for being hardworking people. So I think if we put our minds together, we can definitely unlock and help each other during this difficult time. You know, there's no other way to help each other by expanding business relations. I mean, the world is a small place. Today with technology, you can connect to the entire globe via our computers and phones. So I'm very excited that Dr. Harry Eppanapally has allowed me to represent South Africa on the platform. And I would like to say to India that we're open for business. Our borders might be closed, but we are open, we're ready to engage, we're ready to find solutions quickly to boost our economy, to boost trade. And we really look forward to having that engagements with high-level dignitaries and business leaders on this platform. Truly an honor to share it with you. I also understand that we have about 10,000 students that has also signed into the webinar. And I think it's important, the youth is our future. And because this being an entrepreneurship program and opportunities program, I felt it's important for me to engage to them and reach out to them. Maybe offer them some inspiring words, some encouragement for the future. These students, obviously, once they qualify, some of them will go into different fields, into different jobs to understand the industry. But somewhere along the line, a spark goes off in our head that we want to be a business, we want to be an entrepreneur. And that's great because we desperately need our youth to fill those roles. They're going to be the next CEOs. They're going to be the next MDs. They're going to be the next leaders, the next presidents. So we've got to focus on them and give them the encouragement and support and skills. I know we've got limited time, so I can't expand on too many points, but I thought, look, it'd be good to focus on 2 points just to give them a great insight into what it is to be an entrepreneur. You know, from a technical point of view, as an entrepreneur, in life, you've got to have a plan. Likewise, you have to have a business plan, a plan that you understand, a plan that you believe in, a plan that you can take and create opportunities for yourself. So it's very important from entrepreneurship that you've got to be able to understand what you want to do. You know, we all have that inspiration, you know, I want to be a business leader. But being a business leader comes with responsibilities, and that's very important. On my next point, which I'd like to inspire the youth with, is that being a business leader, being an entrepreneur, comes with a lot of responsibility in the sense of you've got to start your foundation with a strong foundation. You've got to start your company with a strong foundation. Strong foundation equals success, and success for the years to come. What is key as an entrepreneur, you've got to focus on your proper growth. Now, the problem we find sometimes in the world, and if I can draw an analogy to help the students understand, if you were a building, your foundation is key because those are your principles, your business ethics, your reputation, how you conduct yourself. In order to be a leader, you've got to step up to that plate. You've got to lead in a way that your staff is proud of you, that you inspire your staff. You've got to take the responsibility that you are engaging on. You're going to have staff working for you. You've got to look after them. It's very important that you don't grow as one tall building with many small buildings around you. That's not success. Success is when everyone around you grows with you. If you grow alone, you failed because everyone around you needs that support, and you need their support. So if you want to become a business leader tomorrow and that spark goes off in your head and you feel, listen, I want to be an entrepreneur, I've got the skills, don't forget your foundation that you start your business with will determine where you go, whether you're successful or not. So it's very important to be an honorable businessman. What you say to people, always say the same thing and always be ethical. One thing that also comes into play when you start a business is you have to manage money. And money can easily influence you to be greedy. You can tend to not spend where you need to spend and invest in people. To not let greed change your vision. Always focus on correct growth. Growth that inspires the people around you and uplifts the people around you. We're failing in society where not enough people are being given the opportunity to grow. And it's key that we allow everyone around us to benefit from our success. Being successful alone is selfish. You've got to share that success with the people around you, creating opportunities for the people around you. So in closing, I look at my time, it's almost up. In closing, I'd just like to say to you that go out there and grow. Go out there and make great partnerships, great relationships. You know, having those relationships always help you in the end. So focus on being ethical, focus on doing the things correctly. There's always a right way and a wrong way. Always choose the right way. There's never a benefit from the wrong way. Thank you to the students. I'd like to wish everyone to be safe during this pandemic. You know, we can only conquer this virus if we care about one another and we follow our government's rules and we social distance until we've contained it. I wish you all to be safe. God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the inspirational address. Now, moving forward, I would like to welcome and introduce our next speaker, Mr. Mahesh Kumar Punia, Managing Director, Live Bean and Eero Foods, Kenya, Africa. A professional turned entrepreneur made his journey from being a senior professional at KPMG and PwC to taking up the more challenging and rewarding path of entrepreneurship. Prior to turning entrepreneur, Sir had an extremely satisfying career with some of the most respected global brands like KPMG, Managing Partner, PwC Head Strategy, DHL, Expeditors, and QAI. Founded LifeBean in 2006 in India and then grew the company across 3 continents. Today, LifeBean has 2 divisions: Government Advisory for Socio-Economic Transformation and Hospitality Advisory, headquartered at Jakarta, Indonesia. In 2019, with a strong belief that the food sector will become even more critical in the years to come, Sir has set up Eurofoods, an agri-based firm producing high-quality fresh vegetables and fruits for global markets. At the same time, established Manam Dental Kenya with an aim to establish a chain of dental clinics across Eastern Africa. Currently also serving as the economic advisor to the Honorable Governor of Narok County, Republic of Kenya, driving a set of initiatives to attract FDI into various sectors in collaboration with the governments and private investors from targeted countries like USA, India, UAE, and Gulf countries, and a few countries in Europe. Now I request Mr. Mahesh Kumar Punya to kindly address the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri. Thanks for the introduction. And as somebody who is attached with the government as an advisor, I will skip the government formalities by saying a simple thing of all protocols observed, and let's go straight in. Okay. As Shri mentioned about my background, I luckily have a great experience of working all over the world, and especially in my current role as the economic advisor, working with various governments across the world to build an FDI relationship for Kenya. This experience has strengthened what I almost always believed, that entrepreneurship is not about policies, it's not about ease of doing business indexes. It's about a mindset, and it is about a culture. Okay. So I'm going to mainly focus on that, and not on the more of the political or the policy framework, which a lot of our great friends like Hari has already spoken about. There's no point to repeat those. And I would like to address primarily the student community. So they are the future budding entrepreneurs. Okay. And before I get in that, I would like to let them know that I've been there. I failed many times. Okay. I failed many times, and before I could taste any success. Right? So some of my let me start by getting to the main topic of our self-reliant or Atmanirbhar India. Okay. Highly talked about topic everywhere in the world. While talking to the government in Kenya, they say, how can we be self-reliant? Okay. US is talking about self-reliant. And a lot of our friends are taking this concept a bit wrong. Self-reliance does not mean working in isolation. Okay. It's not just about producing local, buying local. If that is the case, I can assure you we'll have a worst possible economic meltdown. Okay. Take example, a small country like Kenya, we can produce more food than the whole continent can consume. Just one of the 54 countries in Africa. Okay. So if you are only self-focused, you will collapse anyhow. Okay. For me, self-reliance is what can be done by self should be done by self, but we need to be part of a global collaboration. We cannot work in isolation. We cannot survive in isolation. Okay. And what we can do ourselves, we must do that, but continuously improve as well to stay relevant globally. Okay. The COVID specifically has been used a lot as an excuse for many failures, and at the same time, rightly so, to identify the gaps in all our policies. I would say one other thing that highlights for me is choosing our partners. Who do we want to build our collaborations with? Do we have the right mindset with those partners? Do we have the socio-economic alliances with them? Or if you are a democratic country and you want to have alliances or doing business with a non-democratic country, one fine day you will have problems. Okay. Let's move away from this and let's get into what I call my enabling the entrepreneurship. Okay. So for our young friends, okay, I think it's pretty important to understand that everybody does not need to become an entrepreneur or a businesswoman or man. Okay. It is not a must. If everybody becomes an entrepreneur, who will work? Okay. Who will do the jobs? Doing the job is a pretty honorable thing. I was the youngest managing partner of one of the largest brands in the world, KPMG. It was very rewarding and very, very proud work to be done. Okay. If you want a motivational speaker to share motivational words with you to be an entrepreneur, then don't do it. Just don't do it. That means you're not cut out for it. And those who want to become, once you're made up that you want to be an entrepreneur, then do not rush. Do not undervalue the power of research, and also know your right time. Like I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I did my first venture, it was the wrong time. I failed. I did my second venture, it failed. I had a great success in the corporate world, and I thought I'm ready. I did another venture, it failed. It's only after I gained a lot of experience and did my research and could find the right fit of my heart with the right kind of business opportunity that I faced success. So once you have decided, don't slow down, just do it. One of the most useful mantra that has been for me, which I copied from the founder of LinkedIn, was if you want to fail, you fail fast. Just fail fast. Don't procrastinate. If you procrastinate in business, you're going to be just one simple word for this: cash burn. You're burning your cash. If it is failed, fail fast and move on to the next one, next idea, go do it. I'm going to rush because I'm very stickler for time. So my next part is that speaking very specifically from an Indian context. India produces a lot of businessmen, but not really global entrepreneurs. Our society is not very encouraging to entrepreneurship. Some of the things all our common friends are going to hear a lot would be, if you're not shrewd, you won't succeed. If you're too honest or you are too straightforward, you can't do business. Nobody in his family has been an entrepreneur earlier. We will get a lot of society barriers rather than society encouragers. Okay. We need to change this mindset. We need to, as a country in India, we need to celebrate and encourage and promote entrepreneurship and risk-taking. The times have changed. When our parents, when they were at their early, and they're building their careers, the country did not have so many opportunities, so the risk-taking ability was much lower. Today, for us and our children, it's a different ballgame altogether. But yet we have the society which is always pulling down anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur. Very recently, Elon Musk said this: can we stop doing baby showers and can we start doing showers for the businessmen? A guy who starts a new idea, let's call him. Let's all friends get together and do a shower for him. Contribute in some form. Okay, just encouraging words could be enough. Okay, so our society really needs to change. Okay, the other thing which I think our Indian young entrepreneurs we must take care of is, of late I'm noticing we are becoming great marketers of stories, not of value, right product or solutions. Let's take an example. I'm an agri entrepreneur, so I'm going to relate to that. We have every second day a new company selling a story of organic vegetables, especially in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, all the metros. You get them diameters. You scratch the surface a little bit, there is nothing organic there. And these companies, while they do make money in the beginning, but you fall down. People will buy stories for a while, but they'll buy the right solution and products for a longer time. when Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, when they came up with the products, there was no stories, they were real products. So start with a mission in your mind, not with a vision of becoming a rich man. Have a real mission, have your heart into it. What do you want to do? What is the gap that you're trying to fix? Okay. I living in Kenya, for me, I said, Kenya can fill the gap of food security for the Middle East. Okay, so I became an agri-entrepreneur. I see healthcare, there is a big gap in the African market. We don't have quality healthcare. Okay, so I became a healthcare entrepreneur. I invested into a dental chain. So there is a real gap, and I really want to fill that gap. And if I do it well, yes, I do have a vision to make my billions, but I can't have my mission cannot be to make billions. It has to make some transformation and add value. So a very few words from me. And if anybody wants to reach out and know more stories about my failures, I'll be very happy to share that. Okay. And thanks a lot. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the wonderful address. Moving forward, I now welcome and introduce Mr. Vibhav Kant Upadhyay, Chairman ADO NGO Norway. Mr. Vibhav Kant Upadhyay is a development leader known for his statesmanship, macro vision, and pragmatism. Prolific out-of-the-box thinker, he successfully established the Indian-Japan Global Partnership Initiative and is widely regarded as the architect of the modern India-Japan relationship. This has led to mega initiatives like the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, which was formed to re-establish the industrial culture of India. He is now focusing his efforts on establishing the alternative development model and forming a unique model of global strategic partnership led by India, Japan, and Norway. Under this model, the collaborative strengths and resources of global partners are utilized to empower not just the developed, but the developing nations too. Mr. Upadhyay is also the founding chairman of the Alternative Development Organization in Oslo, Norway, which is the headquarters of the ADM movement. The organization will take forward initiatives to establish ADM around the world. I now request Mr. Vibhav Kant Upadhyay to kindly put forward his address to the gathering. Thank you.
Namaste to everyone. My name is Vibhav Upadhyay, and I'm right now located at Tokyo, Japan. And I would like to thank you, the organizers, ICFAI University, and my dear friend, Dr. Hari from the Lead India Foundation, who's happened to be board member of one of our foundations as well. You know, I was in a dilemma what to do when Mr. Mahesh Punia was talking to, because half of my speech he already spoke. So now I very quickly have found a new solution, you know, what to do. Okay, so my first part is still there, and the second part I've replaced it by something else. So I will bring to the notice of our renowned speakers and listeners who are basically listening to this webinar today. Like many speakers and Mr. Mahesh Punia also rightly said, you know, Atmanirbhar Bharat, or any country to become self-reliant, you know, it is not about going into a box and cut off yourself from the rest of the world, because whether we accept or we don't accept it, but world has become global now, and there's no way it can reverse to become countries in isolations. Interdependency is the key, and that's what basically is the success to the future. You know, I would like to bring a very important topic. Notice here. You know, in India, as you see, the population is 1.3 billion people. And so is the population of Africa. But do you realize what is the actual problem? Why there is so much of a gap in development, so much of a gap between poor and rich, and so many things are not happening, despite of all the efforts governments and people are doing. Still today, means we are talking about basic needs of making toilets, means in a developed world, who talks about making toilets? That's taken as as a given that people will have basic infrastructure. If they are living, means they will have this basically with them. What our foundation since '96 has been doing is what is the answer to this question: why we are not able to achieve what we are supposed to achieve. I take you back 1947, when we supposedly call ourselves, we got the independence. I only call that as a transfer of power from white to brown, Okay. Why such a statement? Because, the country, when it runs or governs or develops, is based on an operating system. There is an architecture through which you basically operate. There is a way, there's a philosophy, there's an ideology based upon which the systems have been built, and based upon those systems, the initiatives, projects, products have been built, markets have been built, economies have been built. So let's go back to 1947, when our country got supposedly independence. What we got as a gift, we got a country which was in shambles. And the reason why it was in shambles was the operating system which Britishers left with us. And that operating system was not basically to develop India or to develop, and empower Indian people. So, okay, let's ask a question. What has changed since 1947? Has our format of democracy changed? No. Has our judiciary changed? Absolutely no. Education changed thanks to the current government. They have just brought some change recently. Does our bureaucracy change? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is exactly the way Britishers operated in our country, and their Indians were subject, and they were the governors. So the problem is, in our current status of operating system, of course, our leaders, right from Pandit Nehru to our current Prime Minister, we are trying to make changes. But our changes are very much like United Nations changes to the environment problem by bringing a patchwork called SDG. Because the architecture is designed by Anglo-Saxons to exploit the world to make wealth for themselves. How you can make wealth for a nation called India or a continent called Africa when you are working on an operating system which is based to rule and to exploit you? So before thinking how we can become Atmanirbhar or self-reliant, we have to understand, unless we have our own operating system of development, there's no way we can think about that, because the old model, and I'm not against the old model was basically the best available amongst, we have gone through many development models, from imperial model, we have gone through socialist model, we have gone through, currently the, capitalist model, and now we are going through, European Union's hybrid of capitalism and socialism, and we are tasting also the Chinese fantastic model of communism and capitalism coming together. So there is a need of a new operating system. This is what our mission at India Center Foundation, and also the new foundation which we are establishing right now called India-Japan Foundation. So India and Japan came together in 1990, means 2000 it was announced, came together to form this partnership to drive this new development model called alternative development model, which is empowerment based. I will repeat, instead of exploitation based model, we need an empowerment based model where the people and their needs and their rights are in the center of the model of development, rather than creating wealth be the objective. Wealth creation should be an outcome and and it could be outcome of what we do as a development. You know, any nation or any society which makes wealth creation or money creation as an objective or mission of their nation will always fail, because you will find our system, old system, will find some people powerful. Why there's so much of discrepancy in India? People, I disagree to people who say we don't need, you know, government is promoting Adani's and Ambani's. I disagree with them. The only thing we are not doing is why we are not empowering others to come to their level. That's the problem. That's the drawback of the system. You know. So in 1996 we started this mission in Japan, starting from Japan, and in 2000 it was announced by our Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Prime Minister Modi of Japan. Then we were able to define some of the, you know, both the countries came together, and of course our foundation as a catalyst was, you know, instrumental in defining the framework in which we can work. So some of the examples today, India being a socioeconomic lab for the new model, development model, is able to establish some, like Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor is established, but very few understand that what it basically means. It was basically made an appeal to the decision makers of both the countries, that because the question was asked what we should do as fast, what should be done fast between India and Japan to establish you know, ourselves. So what we saw that British Raj basically broke our backbone of our industrial culture. You know, so how to reestablish that industrial culture? At the time of Prime Minister Vajpayee, you know, if you everybody remember, I think everybody remembers, there was a loot going on in India of land in the name of SEZs. You know, I will make SEZs. Everyone, somebody saying, I will make there, I will make here, I will make, and it was a kind of loot going on, you know, without even realizing that industrial development doesn't happen. It has to be designed in a way that it utilizes minimum of resources, minimum of energy, and it has been transported, the goods have been transported in the best possible synchronized way. You know, this is how the concept of paradigm shift of, instead of a state, the region has to be developed, and Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, and also similar 3 more corridors are underway with a different, like Delhi-Calcutta will be agriculture corridor, Chennai-Bangalore will be a soft economic corridor, and manufacturing will all go from Delhi to Mumbai. Okay. So the design of such, these corridors are done in such a way which is very less known yet because it's still under construction, that it will empower millions of people who will live there. And very much idea, people took their perception. You know, some said, oh, Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor will reduce the dependency on our imports from China. Of course, yes. But whatever we could do ourselves, like, you know, our colleague Mahesh Punyaji said, what we can do ourselves, we should. What we can't, we should look for somebody else to come forward and have a win-win relationship with us, and what we can do for them and what they can do for us. But our relation with Japan is very special. It's a global partnership. It's a very strategic partnership where both the countries are working for each other's national building and national interest, and to also working towards serving the rest of the world. And especially, I think one day our dream of working together and taking this alternative development model towards the self-reliance of not only India, but a continent called Africa, which has been exploited for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. The time has come when Africa has to stand up. Japan and India, and also today Norway has joined us in this, that we can be instrumental or catalyst rather than, instead of teaching them what to do, Africa has to be built by Africans. That's what is my definition of self-reliance, when Africans say that this is what we would like to do, and this is what we like to take forward. So India and Japan are committed to take this model of self-reliance and empowerment-based development model to Africa also and propose to them that how it can be used to make Africa self-reliant. Of course, India is on path of self-reliance, and thanks to our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, with whom I have worked for the last 25 years very closely. And I have a full faith on his leadership that one by one, he will create new institutions and try to shut down the old imperialistic time institutions. And his movement of creating new parliament is being hopefully understood properly. This is the first step towards establishing our version of democracy and our version of politics in India. Thank you very much. With this, I thank all my organizers and my colleagues and other speakers. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the wonderful address. And moving forward now, I would like to welcome Professor Brian Patrick Lewinning, Chairman Ravenberg von Hadstein Ltd, Netherlands. Professor Brian Patrick Lewinning has an international master's degree in communications as well as bachelor degrees in corporate management and in foreign trade management. He is a certified in program management with APMG International and PMI. He is a board member and CEO of innovative technology-driven companies in the digital workspace domain, food industry, natural resources, and energy, defense, and advanced systems. He is Secretary of the Sacred Military Constantinian Order of St. George and founder of the Initial Smile Token and an investor in the Economy of Peace. He is the Senior Advisor to Lead Ventures, the Office of Sheikh Sultan bin Abdullah Al Qasami, and private partner to the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. He is also the chairman of Eifenberg von Hadstein Family Office. I request Professor Brian to kindly put forward his address. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Harry, for inviting me to this. I'm very delighted today. This is a great and very impressive gathering of people. And I want to salute to all the students and everyone on the webinar. If we're talking about self-reliance, we have to really look at what it means. And there's, to me, it's also the basis of empowerment. If we look at self-reliance, it means that you are self-capable of managing and achieving a life that is intrinsically valuable to you. I guess that most people would recognize that they have some struggle in life that they cannot cope alone. And this reconnaissance of that fact is in fact the basis of society, that we need each other to thrive, that we need each other to stay safe. If we look now in the COVID times, it is very apparent that we need each other to stay safe, because if others don't respect the rules, don't respect everyone's happiness, then we probably get sick more than we do today. So be safe, everyone. This is my first tip. If we're looking at self-reliance in economy, that also means that countries have to be self-reliant. What we see now is that many countries are so far up into debt that we have to ask on a micro perspective, who do they owe and who is really calling the shots? If you look at the microeconomics in the world, you will see shifts happening at the moment. Former colonies who are now leaders in the world or becoming real leaders in the world, instead of having to depend on their former colonizers. My heritage is partially from Asia. Moreover, in Indonesia, which had been a colony for 350 years. And from that, Indonesia and the buildup for Indonesia was largely depending on the Netherlands and America for the freedom. Well, that is completely changing at the moment. Also, although we see some power still in place, over time they will fade out and new people will come with new initiatives and more honesty. And this is why I salute all of the, let's say, more transparent ways of working and really the empowerment of the people. What we're working on at the moment now is land ownership. Land ownership not only gives you property, but it more tells you that you have something to work for, to aspire for, and to build up your life and that of your family. It also gives you an identity. A lot of people, over 1 billion people on this planet, still don't have a legitimate identity. which means if you don't have an identity, you're not entitled to anything. You cannot claim anything, even though you worked your life for it. So land ownership to us is one way to go forward. And we really see a lot of technology coming into place into that. If you can define not only on longitude and altitude, which your property is, and also respect natural boundaries in that, then you can say, okay, I work for this, I really aspire this. If you're educated or not, but at least you understand the concept and nobody can take it from you afterwards. So it will prevent national leaderships to sell your country to private parties and companies where you just get swiped off the planet, so to speak, for financial gains. So this is very, very important to us, which we support. If we look at totally different, but if we look at the Netherlands in relationship to India, we're a major trade partner. Of course, India is more interesting to the Netherlands as probably in Netherlands to India in the near future. Although for the port of Rotterdam, we are the access point to 500 million Europeans, still one of the leading ports in the world. If we also look at innovation, then we're a player in the world, coming up with AI, quantum technology here in the Technical University of Delft. And these are, let's say, subjects that really propel also in India. Even I believe that India can be world leading in that, if not already, but they might promote it better then. So you see there's a lot going on. India is one of the most active populations in the world, not only being one of the largest, but very active. And the whole inclusion of people is very important on the agenda. So I'm not one who says that I'm really, really into depth on all the aspects of the Indian politics at the moment. But I would like to say that what we perceive from this point of view is very, very interesting. And we salute every initiative taken at the moment. So for this relationship between the Netherlands and India, we see also a lot in agriculture and horticulture, as the Netherlands being the #2 in the world on this subject. And we see a lot of benefits for both countries to discover and exploit. If we look at empowerment of people, because, well, economies should empower people. I am one who says, well, you should empower yourself. And I know the word empowerment does not mean that we put you in power, I know. But still there is some level to make them. So the level playing field of empowerment to me is a little bit off. It still comes from one who has it, who gives tools and instruments to those who don't have it. Well, you know, that is no balance. If we still talk about that, then there's no balance. If we still talk about emerging countries, well, that's true. But where are they emerging in, and where have they already risen above the others? So we are all emerging, I believe, right? And people are emerging. So the concept of an emerging and developing country, well, if you stop developing, you're better stop at all in economics. So maybe we say that you're more into high potentiality. So you're very high potential, and we all are, but we could validate that probably better and stimulate that better. So from that perspective, to me, self-reliance and empowerment come from within. It is to have trust in yourself, but also to trust that you can own something, even your own livelihood, that you're not a modern slave in economics. This is essential to us. And in fact, the message I wanted to convey. So I'm open to chat to everyone who wants to reach out. And if I can do anything for you that is meaningful, please let me know. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Brian. That was really wonderful. I now welcome and introduce our next speaker, Ms. Miria Tulekimo, Managing Director, MT Energy Resources, Perth, Australia. Miria Tulekimo is an award-winning entrepreneur, global energy consultant, global leadership expert, executive coach, international speaker, published author a global STEM leader and women empowerment advocate, a petroleum engineer who gained her experience working globally in a range of technical and management roles. Miria is the managing director of the Perth, Australia-based energy consulting company, MT Energy Resources Limited. She founded Miria Tolekima Global Leadership and STEM Queens Uganda. She is the host of the weekly global talk show, The Greatness Engineering Hour, and the editor-in-chief of the Greatness Engineering magazine. Miria is part of the new waves of women who have embraced greatness, engineering, non-traditional industries, globalization, innovation, and digital disruption. I now request Ms. Miria Tolekima to kindly address the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Honorable, eminent, distinguished guests and speakers, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure and privilege to have the opportunity to share my insight today and contribute to the debate. And, I've heard, all the speakers, and they've been exceptional insight. And it's very important to have this debate at such a critical time where we are all still, trying to manage the COVID-19 pandemic and the aftermath of it. And it's sure, it's a time of great disruption and uncertainty for a lot of us and for a lot of countries, and I think including India. And a lot of us, we are asking ourselves how we are going to be able to continue to foster entrepreneurship in such a volatile, uncertain time, and really continue to create added value and continue to have sustainable, economic in a lot of countries. And I don't really know, the latest data for India. What I can say is that, for any country, it is important to understand and still stay focused on the key, economic objective and understand, all the existing constraints, and making sure that we see what's happening with the pandemic as an opportunity to do a real audit, because sometimes we don't really have time to do that, and it's the right time. Things are slow, and we're forced to really, go deep into everything. So do a real audit, identify, the gaps, in the local, regional, and international markets, and use that, when we've identified those gaps, use that to reconfigure the economy. And it can be for India, it's happening for us also in Australia, but not only reconfigure each economy, but also global economy, to find a way to, and really find a way to fill, those identified gaps. Because I personally believe that entrepreneurship is about solving problems. And when you start to look at it this way, you understand that it is about, the key, looking at the key social issue and problems, not only locally, but also regionally, internationally, and make sure we create the right strategies and system, and also the structure to solve those problems. And this starts with education, and I think that's why we are here in a university concept where, because education is actually the primary tool we have, for connecting people to workplaces or businesses in general. And when we look at education as a building block to help, not only employment, but entrepreneurship, it's actually very powerful, because, employment and entrepreneurship, in turn, are going to be the channels that are going to be able to allow to be, economically autonomous and to play an active role in the economy. So I want to say that, strategic capacity and capability building is a must for any economy right now. And it's really the time to focus on it. And there's really a need for a more collaborative partnership between the education sector and the public and the private sector in each country. And I think India is also part of it, because, and not just limit ourselves to the local partnership, look at also regional partnership and international partnership, so we can unlock and create those employment and entrepreneurship opportunities. And when I look at, because I'm I've been working in the oil and gas industry for quite some time now, and when I look at the problem in some of the countries, especially in developing countries who have been blessed to have oil or gas reserve, what's happening is that we don't at some point see the value that are created by the industry. And it's actually because we didn't think about creating the link between using what the industry is bringing, so the added value that the industry is bringing, to diversify economies, and make sure that we focus also on the education system to build the capability and the capacity to be able to get this diversity and create a sustainable development. So it's a key one, especially in this time of disruption, to really look at and refocus. And it goes down to looking at how we build our local partnerships, that's one, but also how we build our regional partnership and the international partnership. If I look at Australia in itself, Australia is not a big market if we look at it compared to India. It's a small population. I mean, it's 25 million, big country in size, but a small population. But there are key needs in the technology sector, in the education sector, in the agricultural sector, and in the resource sector, where we are very reliant on foreigners, on foreign companies, and especially in the resource sector, where China have been really the partner of choice. And now with all the disturbance, especially with the pandemic, there is a disruption between China and Australia. So those sectors are actually opening for a big market like India to really position themselves, because what the government here in Australia is trying to do is to diversify, the investors, because at some point, it was, especially in the agricultural sector and in the resource sector, it's all been about China, because they had the financial capacity. They also had, they're big country. They had, what we miss here. And now we are ending, and thanks to the pandemic, we find out that, we are really exposed. So there's a need to diversify and start to open up the market to other countries that can actually also come and fill those gaps. So the technology sector is the same, especially we talk a lot, because there's a lot of business now being done online. So we talk a lot about, the security, the online security, the cyber security. So that's an area as well where we've not really diversified, and there's a need to bring, high technical professional and really, fill those gaps so far. So, I mean, education and matching, the education to the needs, not only locally, but also internationally, which means we need to understand the market, the dynamics, and what are the, the opportunities. But also the key thing that I wanted to mention today is also the creation of, key local and global strategic alliance to be able to address, those specific problems and do it on a win-win, on a win-win basis. And I particularly think about Africa right now, and again, looking at the resource sector, where the world, and especially the big, the multinational company, are now moving more into renewable. And so, but there's still, in a lot of countries, especially in West Africa, a need to still continue to stay in the conventional, in the conventional sector as far as oil and gas is concerned. But what's happening is that, you know, the financial sector cannot actually support any indigenous and local companies. So there's here again an opportunity to really create some partnership with financial institution or companies outside Africa and notably India here to really, you know, make sure that, you know, they can partner with those companies and help them to manage things locally and not depend on those key multinational. So a lot of, you know, what I can say is that, you know, the resilience building goes down to really understand where are the needs and really looking at these as, you know, solving a problem more than anything and really start to identify what are the problems and what can we do about it, and then that's the way you create actually an opportunity in terms of entrepreneurship. So that's really the key that I wanted to add. I think a lot have been said, and I think that's the bit that I really wanted to contribute and really stress out. Especially to students and also to you know, the people from the public sector and the private sector, that it has to be the collaborative effort is really important to create those opportunities. But looking at things locally, yes, but also looking at what's happening globally and connect you know, the skills and the resources that India has with the needs of for some other foreign countries and the gaps that exist if they can fill it. So thank you again for giving me the opportunity to have to give my insight in this debate, and I thank, you know, everybody that's been involved to organize this. This amazing webinar.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was wonderful hearing from you. Thank you, ma'am. I now welcome and introduce our next speaker, Shri Mohan Singh Sudan, ex-member Punjab State Planning Board, Chairman and co-founder at ICBP. Sir is presently President and CEO, Chamber for International Trade and Industry. Sir is Director General of Unique Infrastructure Group, LLC. Sir is Chairman and co-founder of Indo-Global Business Park. And Sir has served as Advisor India Operations, President and CEO of Center for Immigrant Settlement and Trade Alliances from 2007 to 2016. There's some disturbance. Okay, thank you, sir. President and CEO of Center for Immigrant Settlement and Trade Alliances from 2007 to 2016 for promoting bilateral trade alliances between Canada and India. Sir has been a member of the Punjab State Planning Board from 2005 to 2007 to advise Punjab State Planning Board on the overall development of the economy of the state. He has been Director General for Center for International Trade and Industry from 2004 to 2007 to promote and globalize small and medium entrepreneurs industries through trade fairs, exhibitions for global exposure and competitiveness. I now request Gagan sir, the host, to kindly play the message that has been given by Mohan Singh sir. He could not be present here in the webinar due to some prior engagement and technical issues. So kindly go forward with the message.
Good morning to all of you. I am delighted to welcome all dignitaries, visionaries, and speakers today on this webinar, Self-Reliant India. When we talk about self-reliant India, we should not merely think of decreasing our import demand, but we should think boosting our domestic production to make for the world and assist Government of India in achieving $5 trillion economy by 24-25 for reshaping the destiny and glory of India. All states to become the key contributors of growth to help achieve Prime Minister of India's target of $5 trillion economy, and accordingly we are starting from the Sikkim, the most potential state, to take the lead by developing Sikkim as fully developed state by 24-25 as a role model to be replicated elsewhere, especially in the northeast region and other Himalayan states, to make for the world and become the world leader in healthcare through organic food, ecotourism, wellness, beside human resource development to meet the skilled workforce demand globally. United Nations have already recognized and awarded Sikkim as the first organic state of the world. Now entire world is watching us and eager to learn from our success story. Sikkim today is well within the definition and scope of globalization and liberalization, needing to take the first bold step to digitalize and globalize Sikkim's image worldwide for reshaping the destiny and glory of Sikkim. IGBP would assist Government of Sikkim for globalization of Sikkim and northeastern region in a big way by establishing one-stop permanent display trade center in potential countries under public-private partnership for showcasing the Sikkim and northeastern region product and services globally, besides attracting tourists in a big way. IGBP is in the process of developing strategic partnership between the developed countries for building and opening outlets for sale directly to the consumers for its organic food in potential countries like UAE, UK, North America, Australia, and Europe. IGBP, in association with ICFI University, is making all efforts to assist Government of India and other potential states governments in transforming their economy by implementing UN Sustainable Development Goals with special reference to 5 P's: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. I would also suggest ICFI University to conduct state-specific webinars in other potential states as well. Thank you all once again for your valuable time and support. Jai Hind.
Okay, moving forward with the program, I welcome and introduce our next speaker, Professor Paul A. Phillips, University of Kent, UK. Professor Paul A. Phillips is Professor of Strategic Management at Kent Business School, University of Kent, UK. One of his current research projects is helping actors in the global university research ecosystem to challenge the impact status quo and to help shape and drive end-to-end research impact transformation across traditional boundaries, across universities, businesses, processes, and people. He is also working on a number of student-facing initiatives, such as his Canterbury Retail Challenge, which seeks to create employment opportunities by linking higher education, business, and students. This has been successful as it has gained traction in UK and was filmed by the BBC. Previously, Paul served as director of Kent Business School and held academic appointments at Cardiff Business School and University of Surrey. His earlier business career was as a qualified accountant and a senior management consultant with Price Waterhouse. Professor Phillips holds an MBA and PhD from Cardiff Business School and is a qualified marketeer. Professor Paul acted for a wide range of clients in the public and private sectors, which included providing strategic advice to organizations such as the World Bank Caribbean Development Bank. Professor Phillips has served as chair of the UK Association of Business Schools Research Steering Committee and member of the ABS Executive Committee. He chaired the 2010 ABS Annual Research Conference and the 2010 ABS Annual Doctor of Business Administration Conference. Paul has served on the UK Institute of Business Ethics Advisory Council, Westminster Business School Advisory Board, and founder inaugural chair of the ABS International and External Relations Subcommittee. Paul has completed the Experienced Deans and New Deans Seminar Series, Association to Advance Collegiate School of Business International. He completed the International Deans Program, Association of Business School European Foundation for Management Development, and the Leading Change and Organizational Renewal Program, Harvard Business School. Professor Phillips has served as a visiting professor at 3 universities in China, the School of Business Administration, Hunan University, Changsha International Business School, Beijing, Foreign Studies University, Beijing, School of Economics, Shandong University, Jinan. I now request Professor Paul to kindly address the gathering. Thank you.
Right, good. Well, it's good morning here in the UK. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir, you are.
Good. I must confess, I'm going to show you all a short video, but the host has disabled videos for some reason. So I'm unable to do that with you all. So let me just pick my screen up. So what I will do is do something a little bit different. I'll see if it works. Basically, 5 minutes, I just wanted to introduce you to one of my projects, which I call the Canterbury Retail Project. And the idea is to involve students, business schools, industries and government into solving problems. In this case, in Canterbury, it's around the retail challenge because we had a lot of problems. What I'll do is just play you a radio interview I did about it, because I realise I'm the last speaker, so you probably are really getting bored of everything. So I'll just try and see if this will work. Let me know if it works, okay? Okay. Bear with me. Is that working?
It's not as audible. The volume is quite less.
I am now.
How's that? Just super, much better. Thank you. Feel like
Can you hear that interview?
No, sir, the volume is not that audible. It's quite less. The volume is quite less.
Can you hear me now?
No, sir, we can't hear the interview.
Okay, I'll just try it one more time. You sure?
Double one. Dr. Paul Phillips joins us now. Paul is a lecturer at the Kent Business School at the University of Kent. Great to have you with us. Good morning to you.
Is that any better?
Yes, much better, much better. Thank you.
Okay, let me just play it. Thank you.
Possible to the microphone your end.
I am now.
Oh,
How's that?
that's just super, much better. Thank you. Feel like you're with us properly now. Dr. Phillips, why have we ended up with the high street in some parts of the country almost in crisis, certainly here in the southeast, struggling? What's going on?
Well, basically, you've got a myriad of forces going on at the moment. The world has changed. No doubt people have been speaking about the internet, customer experience. But I think essentially what's happened is that you can look at it from two approaches, a tactical response and a strategic response. In terms of a strategic response, we have to identify what are the core problems we're facing. And then we need to figure out who are the customers, who are the stakeholders. I mean, in your program, you have a variety of people from all different demographics, age, etc., all having different needs and wants. That needs to be looked into. And then everybody wants their own kind of solution. What are the solutions we can talk about in terms of parking, safety, for example, the customer experience, too many coffee, tea shops and other things people like to eat maybe. And then we put it all together. The retailers themselves have to create a business model that's going to generate revenue.
So does each town need a group of people who have a vision for the future? I mean, most towns have got, you know, a town council or the local borough or district council, but does it need something separate from the politicians who, with a real sense of vision?
I think so personally. I mean, you know, being an academic, I can be independent. And when we look at it, we could have, you could got the county council, you've got the district council, for example. Different people make up those committees. And then we have degeneration, the millennials are very different. And I think, to be honest, what needs to be looked at is to say, well, what do we want our city centre or town centre to look like in 2025 and 2030? What would it look like? Has anybody visualised success? What would a healthy high street look like? Now, it would look like something very different from it is today. But I think we're probably having the wrong types of conversations.
Okay, so talk us through, if you had a visionary group, what they would be looking at, because you said look at all the stakeholders, but the problem is that we all have a stake, don't we? Old and young, male and female, you know, new arrivals and people who've lived there for years. We all have a stake. So how do you have a vision for a town centre that serves everybody?
Well, the first thing, you have to look at it from the perspective of the business person, for example, because it's been well documented that several stores have closed. And they've closed because they've not had no online presence, and the people who go there are not enough to generate enough revenues to keep the business model going. So you've got to look at your product and service and say, well, actually, in this day and age, is it going to generate revenue that I need to survive? And I would argue in some cases not. Business people talk about the taxation, so the business rates, for example, they're very high in certain centres. So one has to go back to the business models, personally speaking.
Do we need to let some high streets wither, to be blunt? Because if we are the customers and we are the ones who are driving this, if we are not shopping in certain town centres and high streets, it's because we've decided not to. Is there any real argument to propping up a failing high street, or indeed propping up failing shops?
I think there is, because when you say a high street is part of the community. And if you, I mean, for example, I like to go for walks myself personally. I like to walk down the high street. So if they wasn't there, I would personally miss it. I might not buy anything, but I'd miss it. So I think we have to go back to the proposition as to look at the stakeholders, look at what they want, and then there's obviously a role for the district and county councils to get involved. But it needs innovation and vision.
Would you point to any high streets in Kent where you think your understanding is good things are happening?
You put me on the spot. Oh, geez. That's a hard question for me to answer.
What about close to you? I mean, where do you go when you're heading out to go shopping or spend a few hours somewhere? Do you head to a particular high street or town centre, and does it have what you want there?
Well, I live in Canterbury and I can walk to the town centre, which I enjoy walking through Canterbury High Street, but as I'm sure other people have said, I got to tell them about the barber shops, for example. There are an oversupply of certain types of shops. And I don't know how they get regulated, for example. But if you talk about North America, for example, they tend to have the understanding that when you are going shopping, it's really about the experience. And I think we've lost sight of that. It's not just about buying a product now. If you're a retailer, if you're selling something that is not a commodity, you've got huge grounds to really do something fantastic. I mean, in Canterbury, for example, as part of our module, there was talks about having a branded supply of stores, you know, with good brands in presence, because people are attracted to brands.
What about a combination? I mean, if a town centre can't sustain lots and lots of different brands, what about people combining?
I think we have lost Professor Phillips. Maybe because of some technical issues, he's no more online here. So in the meanwhile, I would like to tell the audience that we have actually come to the end of the webinar, and the question answer session is now open to all. And if you have any questions for the speakers, you may type the questions in the chat box in the Zoom group chat, and which will be visible to the speakers. So anybody who has any questions may type the questions here. I'm sure there's some questions from the audience, and let us wait for 2 to 3 minutes for the questions to come in. If anybody has any question, please start typing your questions. I don't think anybody has any questions from the audience, so let us move forward with the webinar. And now I would like to request Dr. Pramita Gurung, our Associate Dean, ICFA University, Sikkim, to kindly propose the vote of thanks with which we will end this webinar. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. Good morning and good afternoon from all over the world. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, respected Honorable Registrar, sir, Deputy Registrars, sir, and our distinguished guests and all the participants. I consider it a great privilege to propose a word of thanks again. On behalf of the ICFA University Sikkim, I express my deep and sincere gratitude and extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the eminent speakers of the day. Thank you each and everyone for taking time off from your busy schedule to be with us and accepting our invitation to grace the occasion today. And for the thought-provoking session, I'm pretty sure it has been an enriching experience to all the participants and those who are listening and joining with us through live media. I take this opportunity to thank Dr.ShahidYamin, Executive Chairman and Co-founder, Global Opportunities Commercialization, for such a thought-provoking session and addressing on global opportunities with practical solution and highlighting on how talented human resources India have. Thank you, sir. I thank Mr. Abdul Dewale, Mohammed, founder and executive president, Global South Economic Forum, for enriching session and addressing the August gathering on self-reliant India and relating it to the technology and agriculture that the nation is rich with, and how India and Northeast region can cope up with it in order to achieve the goal of self-reliant India. Thank you, sir. I also like to thank Mr. Eduardo Mercado, international consultant, the World Bank, Peru, South America, for highlighting on the public services and suggesting the government to invest on the public resources and rightly contributing to the community welfare to achieve the goal of the self-reliant India. Thank you, sir. I also would like to thank Mr. Ridwaan, Rajah, Managing Director, Good Hope Contribution, Cape Town, South Africa, for addressing the August gathering on how the platform like seminar, talks, help the society at large and exchange the view with eminent speaker and find solution quickly in order to boost the economy, etc. It has been rightly addressed by the eminent speaker that being an entrepreneur comes with lots of responsibility. Success is one who grows along with you. And thank you, sir, for suggesting to be ethical in what we do. Thank you, sir. I also like to thank Mr. Mahesh Kumar Punya, Managing Director, Live Bean and Euro Food Kenya, Africa, for addressing and highlighting on the entrepreneurship that it is not about the policy, but about the mindset of an individual. It is rightly said by the speaker, sir, that the self-reliant cannot be achieved by isolation. Thank you, sir, for such a thought-provoking session. I would also like to thank Mr. Vivav Kant Upadhyay, Chairman, ADO NGO Norway, for addressing the gathering that the country works on the operating system and also highlighting it rightly from the British rule to the Indian independence. And there is a wide changes to it right from its independence. And it was rightly said by the speaker, sir, that we cannot achieve the goal of Atmavir or self-reliant India if we don't understand what operating system we India have. And it's indeed a call of an hour. Thank you, sir, for highlighting the gathering on the pros and cons of the self-reliant India policy. Thank you, sir. I also like to thank Mr. Brian Patrick Lewin, Chairman, Ritzenberg von Hatzin, Netherlands, for highlighting that self-reliant means self-capable. Society indeed needs each other to thrive, and also focusing your addresses in the Asian perspective on self-reliant entrepreneurship and employment opportunities. Thank you, sir, for suggesting on how one can achieve one goal of Lead India movement and emphasizing on the agriculture and the horticulture resources in India. It's indeed well addressed by the speaker, sir, that self-reliance comes from within and trusting yourself for that. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Mr. Merlin Tolekima, Managing Director, MT Energy Resource Limited, Perth, Australia, for addressing the gathering that self-reliance can be achieved only by identifying the gap. It was rightly addressed and highlighted by the speaker, madam, that education plays an important role in building the entrepreneurship and employment opportunity. Thus, thank you, ma'am, for suggesting to focus on the education to achieve the goal of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, on the local for vocal or self-reliant. I thank Shri Mohan Singh, former member of Planning Commission and Chairman of IGP, for enriching speech. Due to his inability, personally, he cannot make to the session, but thank you for the effort to send the audio message. Thank you so much, sir. I also like to thank Professor Paul A. Phillips, University of Kent, UK, for addressing the gathering, and it was kind enough for the sir to share his research with us. Thank you, sir, for the effort and for the share. Thank you so much. I also like to thank once again Honorable Governor of Sikkim, Honorable Foreign Secretary of India, Dr. Eppanapally, for gracing this occasion and taking time for us today. As I mentioned before, that without the keen interest or the personal interest of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Jagannath Patnaik, this webinar would not have taken the shape it took. Thank you, sir, for your continuous guidance and support for holding such webinar. I must express my deep gratitude and thanks to our Registrar, Sir, Dr. Ravindra Chetty, Deputy Registrar, Sir, Mr. Rohit Rathi, for continuous guidance and encouragement and always ensuring that we always do the right thing in the right way. I must express my thanks again to the Deputy Registrar Skill Madam, Mrs. Sandhya Rani Pant, and Development Officer, Ms. Sisti Randip Rai, for continuous support and for the time and hard work you contributed for organizing this webinar, without which this webinar would not be successful. I will be failing in my duty if I don't thank our technical support team, Mr. Gagan Guru, Rahul Sa, Dheeraj Sa, our PRO madam, Miss Smriti Chetri, and all the teaching and non-teaching staff of ICFA University Sikkim, without whom this webinar would not be successful. Thank you all the participants for patient hearing and being with us till the end of the session. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the media partners for your kind support. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.